blah, blah, blah. It's 8 o'clock. It's Wednesday.
Yes.
The Christmas decorations are up, but it's not the holidays. It must be Shanahanigans Live.
Hooray!
I think. Katie's off screen.
Yeah, I'm adjusting stuff.
I'll just lean in here. Coming up on this episode, one movie a year sounds like you're making a Hobbit of it. Speaking of fantasy, what would you say to a theme park based on Blizzard's World of WarCraft? I'll take mine completely illegal. As well, we're going to talk about some things that are like TV shows and how's it going?
No, I like that. It's good.
I'm working on it. I need 3 things to say, though. I didn't have enough witty things to say.
The energy you bring to a show. It's
Exactly, and the half face.
Yeah,
I gotta lean into this show.
Oh, sorry. Can I move this for you? I find it's like when Showtime when it's 7 o'clock, I'm like, oh man, I don't have energy for this at all. And you come in the house and it's like, bada bing, bada boom,
Yes.
and I'm just.
That's what we're doing.
Oh wait, I'm closer to you.
Wow. We got
people.
Joanna here. We got
Hello.
TV dinner. We got Alex. How's it going, everybody? So to kick things off, crazy hot and action and exciting. So RSPs, retirement savings plans, are good things
Are
for
you
everyone.
researching this?
Well, yes, because I've got to set one up. So for the future kids, put 10% of every paycheck you get away and settle a nest egg for later. That's all I gotta say about RSPs. You?
Well, as a freelancer, I think it's important to, because it's like, yeah, I get to draw for a living, but you also have to be a very frugal business person.
Yes.
And you have to be very careful with that stuff because, I was discussing this with Jerry today. I'm like, we're working in a business where it kind of relies on our hands and our ability to do it. And it's like, you have to save up because, like, suddenly when I can't draw anymore because I've got old, shrivelly hands.
Carpal tunnel.
It's not like they'll just keep throwing money at me. It's like, I only get paid for the jobs I do, so it's saving up now and trying to be smart with investments and trying to find ways to make your money make money. And I don't know much about it, but it's and it's stuff you're like, I don't want to hear about this gross grown up stuff, but it's important.
Well, when you start becoming a gross grown up, you have to know these things.
It's
Pretty
so
much.
true.
The only reason I brought it up was because last week I think I mentioned that we filmed the guy from Dragon's Den for like a talk, and he was basically saying like you should be putting your money away. And this was for his new book, and it wasn't even about get rich quick. It was about
it's just
prepare for the future, guys, because there's no one there to.
Well, I remember my first job. Like one of the things they told me right away was, I'm gonna move this Christmas tree because I might actually maybe just can you throw those decorations away?
Oh, okay.
Just the
putting away our decorations today.
just gently put the lights away, just because I'm gonna knock them over. But one of the advice they gave me right off the bat was like save up at least 3 months of rent because you never know if like your job's gonna dry up, you're gonna have to move back home, what's gonna happen. But obviously we're not financial. It's not the financial hour on Shanahanigans Live.
But it's just something to think about because
you
might all have these lofty dreams of art and stuff, but eventually you still gotta pay the bills,
Yeah, of course.
So why not, set up a little something for yourself in the future. So you're not like reliant on other people in the future, like borrowing money all the time. It's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Just trying to.
Okay, cool.
Get closer to the mic because the keyboard's over here and I'm trying.
Can't you just move the keyboard over?
Well, I could, but like, there's no table.
Unfortunately, our setup just has yet to improve at all since starting the show from this angle.
It was really great when the computer was over there.
Yeah, why don't you keep it there?
Because it killed my posture.
Oh, that was a good angle.
No, it sucked.
For the show. Oops. But speaking of less oops and more what's up, so we saw The Hobbit.
It's good we saw The Hobbit.
Wasn't really a segue, but we finally saw The Hobbit. Was last
we were
weekend?
gonna somehow like turn the financial talk into it, but I wasn't sure.
Oh, well, you gotta make a little nest egg, kind of like Dragon Smog did. And he's just rolling in it. Speaking of rolling in gold and the Dragon Smog, The Hobbit is a movie that has a dragon in it, and he happens to roll in gold.
He does.
And it also has a Hobbit in it.
It does have a Hobbit in it.
How was that?
I really liked it.
You really liked it, excellent.
I was thinking about it today because, well, I just remember there was, of course, a lot of that controversy over, I guess, the 48 frames or whatever, that people were like, they hate it, they don't hate it, they like it, they don't like it. But then, like, a lot of people whose opinions I really respect, and, like, I'm not, like, suddenly I think they're stupid now, but it's, like, people who I think know what they're talking about were like, man, The Hobbit shows that Peter Jackson doesn't know what he's doing, and the story's like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, that's kind of disappointing. I guess I'll just wait before I see it, because I don't want to be disappointed. And then I saw it, I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? This is like my favorite thing ever. And it's like, in a way, I was thinking about this today, I think, in some way, I think it's the perfect movie for me now, where when I was 17 and Lord of the Rings came out, that was the perfect movie for me, because in some way, it's like I could really identify with just kind of like the hobbits being kind of younger characters, just like trying to like get used to the world. But like now that I'm almost 30 and I'm watching this movie with Bilbo, who's just so long suffering, I'm like, yeah, that's like me now.
And he just wants to stay home. He's like,
I love that he's just like all the time with these dwarves. No, I love it. I think he was a great. Yeah, I think the casting was really great and it was really fun. I went on a magical journey for 3.5 hours.
See, yeah, like for me, I kind of went in as soon as it started. I was just like, I don't even care if the story's bad. I just wanted to be back in the Shire.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back.
I just wanted to be there. Like I was actually getting more excited for the movie just to be in a Peter Jackson Tolkien movie.
Yeah, and,
you know, like I don't care what happened in between King Kong and that stuff. I'm like, whatever. But it's like just being like, we're going back to New Zealand with PJ? All right!
Hooray!
You know, that's all I wanted.
And that's exactly what it was for me. And I had a really good time. I'm trying to think of it.
Well, tonally, the film felt a lot like... I guess
humorous,
the difference between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, of course, is Lord of the Rings is a war story, and Hobbits is more of like a person's story in a way.
Hobbit still has like some pretty bleak stuff in it.
It does, but I mean, like, at the very beginning, you see like towns with like children flying kites and stuff, and elves hanging out with dwarves hanging out with people. Mm-hmm. And you never see that at all in Lord of the Rings. It's all very separate. It's like, here are elves, and they're nice, don't touch them. Here are dwarves, they're kind of gross. Here are humans, they're more gross. And no children in sight doing anything fun. And let's all be miserable. Except for hobbits, because they just live it up.
Yeah, they just have a good time.
Versus this movie had a lot more of, like, that kind of the fantasy that I would rather be more into.
Yeah.
Like, the less tactical fantasy and the more like, oh, we're in this town and there's all dwarves there and elves there.
Yeah, we're just going to go do this thing. Like, it's kind of...
Yeah.
There's something kind of quirky about it that I really like. And, well, yeah, it's something... I think Joanna, I could identify with Bilbo as well now that I'm older. I used to find him boring. Yeah, I used to think The Hobbit was kind of more boring because it was a bunch of like just older dudes it felt like going around. But no, I really liked it. I really liked the character relationships and just how wacky some of the action gets and like it was fun.
If all things almost felt like the action was probably the weakest part of the movie. Like,
stuff would be crazy. Stuff would be like they're riding down a giant mine shaft. Like, oh
yeah, it was a little much. Like I don't know if this was like true to The Hobbit or something, but it was like a little much. Like every victory of theirs was like, there's no way all 12 of them made it out. Like all on this bridge, all with this boulder, all over here, and it's just so like it was almost too over the top for me. Yeah. I feel like I prefer just the kind of characters meandering around and just like, you know, being all Tolkien-ish, and they're just like, hey, what's going on, you know? Like I'm just in houses and complaining about stuff, you know. Yeah, I'm good for that.
Yeah.
Whether 3 films is warranted, like whether there should be, I can't say this yet until I see them all, I guess.
As long as the second one isn't like boring as hell, I don't think it will be, because I mean people complain that the first one was really long, but I just want to go back there every Christmas time. Yeah. I want to go back into the world and just, what are we looking at here? Oh my god, this is a whole movie about giant spiders. Okay.
Oh yeah, great.
You were making the loudest noises in the theater with that.
I don't know why, I didn't like it.
Where the spiders are it's not to spoil anything, but there's like one little brief cameo where the spiders kind of almost show up, and he's like,
I'm like, no. I don't want this. No. Yeah, the next movie, I'm not gonna see it.
But yeah, I don't know, it was like fun. It was just fun to be in the movies again.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, thank you, everybody, cast and crew.
I feel that's all I wanted from it, was just like, you know, just to sit down and be like back there and back again.
Yeah, back again.
Why not? Why not? So everyone else is like, oh, they're beginning slow and stuff. Like, I didn't mind it too slow,
great.
actually.
All of it worked perfectly for me. And then that song, I like the dwarf singing. I like the men singing. It was good. The dwarf men. I do find it interesting that, what is it? I'm thinking like the dwarves that everybody finds the most attractive are probably like the least attractive in dwarf terms.
Yeah. They look more like dudes.
Because it's like they've got the more fine features instead of huge, over-exaggerated.
Well, yeah, like the dude's nose wasn't even like a dwarf nose. It was just
even
like
the king,
his nose.
He doesn't have like a big, bombous nose. It's like a very kind of,
I guess,
normal man nose.
Sure.
I don't know. I didn't mind.
All right, that's fine. You're good for that. I wasn't really calculating who was the most attractive of the dwarves while watching, but
the movie came out in December and we didn't see it till Saturday.
Yeah.
So I mean, Tumblr and Twitter and everything was already infused in my brain before I went to see it. Like I've already seen people's comics making fun of it. I've seen the thing with I think Thranduil or whoever that head elf is with the Jay-Z glasses on the giant elk with the cell phone.
Yeah, like ain't got no time for this.
Weird things. So I knew that kind of things were funny to me before I even saw it.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
you got
there was no reason this scene wasn't funny at all. But
you got the meme treatment before you knew the context.
Yeah, which is weird because when the Lord of the Rings came out, like I wasn't huge on the internet, like searching around on it. So
well, memes were still like were fairly.
But now it's like I'm bombarded by it. Like my Tumblr feed is just full of hobbits.
I was wondering did most of that footage from the Tumblr come from the production diaries? Because there's content. I'm like, how did anyone get this footage yet?
Diaries.
Yeah,
they're really good. Actually,
I should watch those.
Give it a watch because if you don't know this, and even if you don't like the movies, how could you? What the Weta crew has been doing. Wingnut crew's been doing. They've got like 8 videos documenting, vlogging the filming of the movie. So it's got locations. It's got I don't think they go too much into post-production, but there's one where they show the studios, just like all the different branches of it. They show maquettes and costumes and makeup and just how they do colors for like how crazy red everybody's faces are with the makeup because on camera it'll look normal. And just really interesting stuff. Sets, bigatures. I think my favorite one was like number 7 or something where they're just going around the whole studio checking out different departments. And it's awesome. I mean, if you're interested in movie making, it's really cool to watch this. A lot of stuff with like crazy things happening on set because you're filming, well, I mean, you're filming in places that are kind of affected by weather. So they're filming, I guess, them all in the barrels. Yeah. And then the police came by, like, you have to get out of here. There's a rain warning. And like the next day, they come back with the cameras and the whole area is flooded where they've been filming the day before.
Wow.
Just because it was just this really fast.
This is like a Terry Gilliam film experience or
that's
something.
That's a good one too. Was it Lost in La Mancha?
Yeah.
It was Terry Gilliam. If you guys don't know this, he was like the animator from Monty Python, and he was making this La Mancha movie with Johnny Depp, and the movie just, I don't know, it was like cursed. It was
everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
So the movie never got made, but they documented just the whole catastrophe of it, and it's actually really fascinating to watch it. Again, if you're interested in movies or just interested in catastrophe, but it's an interesting watch.
Yeah, just the process of everything falling apart.
It kills me.
I don't know if I'd be able to watch that. It'd hurt too much.
I get just like no.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else about The Hobbit. Yeah, it happened. We didn't actually see it in the 48. We saw it 24, just standard.
We wanted to.
I just wanted to. I didn't want to watch it on a technical level. I wanted to just experience.
Well, because everybody was saying when you watched it with the 48, it was like you could see all the makeup and everything.
Or
and already it looked like the horses were wearing pony costumes. Yeah. So I was like, I don't know if I want to see any more of that. Yeah, I don't know. I might go back.
I do want to do it. I do want to go watch the super fast version and see what happens.
I just kind of want to throw more money at them. Like, thank you for entertaining me on my Saturday.
Yes,
thank you for making me excited about movies.
It's true. I think this weekend I might be going to see Les Mis. Finally. And I cry myself to sleep every day. Be miserable.
You're prepared to be a little bit uncomfortable in some of the close-ups. Because the camera will be right here while someone's like, for like 5 minutes. And you're like,
okay. I'll keep that in mind.
That's not a spoiler or anything.
Oh, okay. Good. Fine. Speaking of fantasy, though, of course, it came into the news, most gaming news lately, but if you're a fan of World of Warcraft and you always wanted more, as China did, they made a theme park. To World of Warcraft. You know, like Blizzard's game. You know, you got the World of Warcraft and the Warcraft series. The only thing is they didn't tell Blizzard they were doing it.
Oh no!
Or maybe they did. I don't know. And they made it anyway, and it's one of the most illegal theme parks in existence right now.
Wow.
Fully functional, has dragons and everything.
That's really weird.
Big statues of the characters and stuff, and yeah, they just kind of went with it. It's really expensive to make.
Oh gosh.
And that's weird.
That is really weird.
It's not the first time I don't think that something like this has happened. There was theme parks in China with like Mickey Mouse, Disney type stuff going on in it that were also completely illegal. Yeah, at what point is someone like just like, yeah, they're not gonna get us?
I don't know.
This is too big of a project. There's no way they're going to shut us down.
That with like Aqua and their Barbie Girl song. Like I think they got sued by Barbie for that.
Yeah.
But I was like...
It was also the best song of the 90s.
Yeah. Maybe that's why they got sued.
So they had to kind of
But it's like, at what point are you like, we're just going to do this anyway? Or, yeah, right, they won't care.
Well, I wonder about that.
I don't care.
Because a lot of songs sneak like Cherry Coke into it. And it always weirds me out that they do. But I don't know if it's just like, is that a part of the song story? Or is this like the Coke approve it and they had to pick a drink? Mm-hmm. There's like 2 songs. I know like, you know, even old, what was it, the Beatles, Here Comes Old Flat Top, like he goes, Coca-Cola, and I'm not sure, like Coke is like, wait, John Lennon said what? You know, or Paul or whoever the hell sang it. It's just like, sue the Beatles, you know, for mentioning.
That part of their song?
No, this is their Beatles legitimate good stuff.
Because you were on a bit of a
That's watch last week if you want to see my opinion on many of the other Beatles songs. That's a whole other kettle of fish. But, you know, people get sued for stuff a bunch of times.
For sure.
But, like, making a theme park.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ballsy.
Now that Activision owns Blizzard, they have the power that they could potentially go after them. I don't know if they will. Maybe not. Kel's actually saying they countersued Barbie, though.
Oh.
Says, Aqua. Yeah, you should. Screw it. Because it's kind of like the point where, is it, like, was it... The whole idea, of course, of this whole copyright protection stuff is that people would be assuming that this song is an official Barbie release, and it's offensive, and then thus the brand is damaged, or something like that. Like, it's one of the facets. There's other things.
Well, they're pretty, any kids' property is pretty...
Yeah, you gotta be very damn careful, because you're not selling it to kids. You're selling it to parents who get easily pissed off and offended.
Easily.
Yeah. So it's just, like, these are the people who, like, there's a story back in the day where, like, Walmart or whatever, they had these SpongeBob birthday table covers, you know, like your pizza party and your SpongeBob plates and stuff. And for whatever reason, instead of yellow, SpongeBob was brown.
Oh my god.
And all these parents were like, oh, guys! It's just like they couldn't handle it.
What?
It's like, no! My son did not want brown SpongeBob.
You know why it is? It's because it's like... and I mean... I can't talk. I don't have a kid. I can't explain it. But it seems like the intense insanity of Billy has to have the perfect 5th-year birthday, and if anything goes wrong, it's not about Billy. It's about you throwing the perfect party for your son because you're the best mom ever. So, like, if anything's wrong, it's just like, I'm gonna tear someone's head off.
Why is SpongeBob a foreigner? And it's like,
it's like the kid's probably like, whatever. It's like, oh, it's a box.
Yeah.
So like,
well, this was the whole Tickle Me Elmo thing, where it's just like you weren't buying it for the kid.
Yeah.
Just because Oprah or whoever at the time said it was great. Yeah. Every parent wanted to be the parent who provided, but the kid couldn't give a rat's ass. Like, they'd be playing with the next toy right after they opened it.
Well, I wanted to segue to that, too, because remember there was a story I told you where a friend of mine works for arranging closets for a very wealthy family. So her job is to go to this rich woman's house and rearrange her closets because she's got a lot of stuff and she needs closet arranging. And they have this little kid, and they bought him this insane Lego Millennium Falcon. Mm-hmm. And he's too little to make it, but they wanted it made. So they hired the closet organizer's son to just take the Lego pieces home and build the set and charge hourly to just get it. Not to sit with their kid and play with their kid and build this Lego set.
It's not a learning experience.
But to take the Lego set home, build it, charge them, what, like
hourly,
$20 an hour?
Whatever it
and then
was.
here's your Lego.
Who was this again?
It was a friend of Jerry's friends.
And that just blows my mind. It's just like, I got paid to build Lego for a kid.
It's interesting.
It's like, give the kid Duplo. Like, if he's too young for Lego, give him something.
Yeah, because it's kind of like, it's
who's this for?
At this point.
You know. Ugh. Kelsey.
But I mean, that's the stuff I always find interesting, where I'm like, what can I do for a rich person? That just, like...
Oh yeah, that was like, you can make your princess parties or whatever. Like, you could do so many wacky ass things. That was like that time
I was kind of feeling down one day, and I looked out my window, and there was that woman on roller skates being pulled by like 10 dogs around a corner. And I was like,
life is good. Kel writes, Aqua countersued and won because Barbie is based off a German sex doll from the 50s. So they argued they weren't sexualizing Barbie because Barbie has always been sexualized. Oh, if that was the complaint.
I mean, that's obvious.
I literally just listened to an episode of Stuff You Should Know, and they went over the history of Barbie, and they went over that lawsuit.
They were like, she's not sexualized. What are you talking about? It's like, boring.
Yeah, and you go through the history. Was that their main argument though? Of like was that the key reason for the suit? Was it not that they put Barbie in a song and dressed up as Barbie? Because that gets to the point when it's like, is it not a part of culture that we're just not allowed to talk about it in the media unless it's like a product placement? Like,
I don't know.
You know, is it? Well, I don't know. It gets complicated there because there's different laws about copyright. Like you can show clips of something in the States if it's for scholarly purpose, if it's for critique, or if it's like parody. Mm-hmm. There's like a couple like counter laws, but this is the whole YouTube thing. You can't just upload though people do. You can't just upload a series or an episode or a song, though people do, to YouTube and have it there unless it was like you are deconstructing it and only using a certain percentage of it. There's all these weird laws and stuff, and if no one complains, you get away with it. Whatever, you're fine. But if they do complain, you gotta know what grounds you're on just to make sure you can get away with it.
Well, I worry about that because, like, I'm thinking about, getting possibly that Shmonky book done up, and I'm like, would Disney ever be like, what is with this Disney strip club scene in here? That one comic.
No, it's an independent comic. They wouldn't care.
Yeah, but it's like, what if...
So some kids gonna look at this and be like, this is a Disney book?
But I feel like I'm small enough that they wouldn't notice, but, like, what if they did? And then I'd be like...
Well, it's to the degree, like, the guys on Adventure Time can't have, a Disney strip club in an episode. Yeah. Because it's a whole different level. If Disney wanted to, they could come after it, I guess, but they probably won't.
Because I also think about it, like, I work in the animation field. It's not like I'm like, screw animation. Like, this is something that kind of, like... It's like I was saying, we're if I ever got hired at Pixar, and it's like, oh, yeah, I get invited into the green room, and then they pull out a video, and it's you ranting about Cars 2. And
it's
I'm like,
well,
no,
before we sign your contract,
it's not my opinion.
Let's take a look at this video. I'm like, oh, Lassiter, you classy devil.
Fired.
Yeah, that'd be unfortunate, but I don't think they'll find it.
No.
I don't think they know. I don't think they know the show exists. I don't think they
exist. Stephanie Meyer won't find me in my...
That's my biggest fear, actually.
You're scared of Stephanie Meyer finding me.
That's my bigger fear. Not that I have any, like, love for it. Like, I'll take it down in a heartbeat. But it's just, like, I don't want her to be like, look what you've done. You've damaged the brand. People assume this is what I wrote.
You've damaged the brand? Like, 50 Shades of Grey, isn't it based on...
But no.
That woman made a ton.
But there's no character names. There's no... Like, it's basically just swapped everything out.
And there you go. Point. Isn't everything a fan fiction anyway?
To a degree, if everything is inspired by something, it's all a tribute of some sort. Yeah. I don't know. I just hope she doesn't come after me. I don't need that on my resume.
In the night, just watching you while you sleep.
I don't like that thought at all. Supposedly, they went over the lawsuit. Yes, they were damaging the brand by sexualizing her, was the complaint. So, in regards to Barbie and Aqua. Which, I don't know, like, they're basically... The lyrics of Barbie Girl is basically what every girl did with Barbie anyway. It was you take the clothes off, you put on the new clothes, you mess with the hair. You take the clothes off, you put... Like, in our house, when like Heather was growing up, naked. Barbies were more naked than clothes. They were just all over the damn place.
Sometimes headless, which was a little weird.
Or headless.
But it's because you'd try and switch heads, and then it was hard to get the...
Yeah, get it back on kind of thing.
Ball top.
Creepy Porpoise and Flux Fox both combo joining.
Sup, dude?
Same time, almost like an RPG... And they entered the battle. I don't know.
Nice.
What's going on? I only say that because I recently watched some, and shared on the Tumblr, of course, Jackie Chan Tumblr, some animated intros to many of Capcom's Cross series. There was Capcom... This is a game that will never come out here because it's a licensing nightmare. Capcom Cross Sega Cross Bandai. And it has an opening sequence, which is animated by, I swear it's got to be either Gainax or IG, because it looks like... Abanabashi or FLCL. It's just like, it's your Street Fighter characters and Mega Man characters and a bunch of others, but all in that really frantic, stretchy, pointy, like 3 frame a second movement of like just being here to here to here. Check it out if you haven't yet. They're actually really entertaining and really bizarre, and it's unfortunate that in the style of game, it's kind of like Final Fantasy Tactics, except it has characters from everything ever. It's like you have your Street Fighter characters, your Resident Evil characters, your Mega Man characters. Then there's like, since it's Namco, or not Namco, sorry, Bandai, all those characters. There's a lot of characters. Let's leave it at that. Might be the other way around. There was 2 games. Go to my Tumblr, just watch that. You'll figure it out. All the interesting stuff is put there. But how did I get to this train of thought? Barbie Girl, people joining. That might have been the end of it.
Okay.
Definitely though, it's because there was a previous game that came out. I think this one was actually Namco, maybe, and Capcom, and it was a similar kind of game, but it had characters from some of our favorite games, like Tales of Destiny.
Yeah.
It had the guy with like the long blonde hair, and that was actually one of the first. That was like the first PlayStation RPG we ever had. Was Tales of Destiny.
Wait, I'm confused. I don't remember it.
Way back when we first got a PS1. was actually like our dad bought it, and he bought any game that looked like it was anime influenced. So it was Tales of Destiny, Ghost in the Shell.
They were little sprites, right?
They're little sprites. But like, there's the main guy was wearing white and he had long hair, and every chapter he like woke up was like his story arc is like, wake up, there's some people at the door for you, and everyone had talking swords. Remember?
Oh, that was kind of
exciting. The fight system was kind of more like Street Fighter-ish.
A whole bunch now that
no, the Tales series, it's very unique if you haven't played any of them yet.
Yeah.
Compared to all other RPGs, because everything at the time was like turn-based.
I played a lot of RPGs.
This was like, you enter a battle, but then all of your party are running around, jumping and punching and doing combos and stuff, and you can like set it up and do things. And it had anime cutscenes, at least at the very beginning and probably the end, where it was like fully animated. So at the time we're like, oh my god! He goes, oh, we have an anime game. There's 2 other games. He got us WarCraft Tomb Raider 3.
Yeah.
Which is considered like probably the worst of them all.
Right.
And there was a 4th game. It might have been Lunar, but I think that was the 5th game we eventually got. Because basically he bought anything that looks like it was anime and just, here you go.
Enjoy.
Lunar, I didn't play it. What was the 4th game? I can't remember. It was Ghost in the Shell, which is actually, if you never played Ghost in the Shell on PS1, it was basically you were a Fuchikoma, you were like one of the robot octopus thingies. And it was like a tank game, but you could slide, you can use the triggers to slide left and right or forward and backwards, like boost around, and you can do it up buildings. So you're basically running around a city. Like, this is before like Grand Theft Auto 3 and stuff came out, and you were like climbing buildings and jumping off, and it was an amazing game. Damn, it was fun. And then there was, put a lot of time into Tales. The best thing about the Tales series, at least that one, Tales of Destiny, was you can change your character's name at any point you wanted to.
That's so good.
You can just go back into the menu and be like, I hate this name, and change it to something else, and then every character would refer to your character by that name from now on.
The stupidest names in RPGs. Oh my god.
Well, you named all your characters after alcohols for some reason,
No.
didn't you?
It was only in Final Fantasy VII.
Yes.
All the guys were named after being sensual, and all the women were named after beverages.
Wait, what were the name of all your characters, if you can recall?
Cloud was Suave.
Suave.
Yeah. Vincent was... Oh my god.
Do you remember? Like, this was your story at the time.
I just remember Tifa was Martini.
Yeah.
Yuffie was whiskey, and Aerith was vodka. So it's like... this is 14-year-old me, whatever. But it's like... You know that moment, I guess, where it's like... I don't want to spoil Final Fantasy VII, but there's this big story ark with the Aerith character that you're like, ah!
Really? You don't know it by now?
Yeah,
Shonk,
if you don't know it by now, come on.
Back.
I was like, vodka!
Stabby. Vodka! Well, it's the same as, like, Zelda games.
Yeah, well, since I was a kid, like, God, I was a weird kid. Link's always been Sexy Boy.
Yes, okay.
Sexy Boy, and whenever...
I was weak sauce. I always named him just
Link.
Link.
Oh! And Ganon's like, curse you, sexy boy. So dumb.
Damn that sexy boy.
Hell, okay, so Suave,
Wasn't what was
Vincent
Red
was
13 named like something really like Mr. something or
gosh, they were ridiculous.
Sexy Pants or something?
Were ridiculous.
What was Barrett? You remember?
I gotta like open it up again.
I was always pretty lame when it came to naming characters because I stuck to the canon most of the time. It was Link and there's this character's name and that.
You never
named
it yourself, like, hey, Shaggy.
Well, no, we did that for Secret of Mana.
Which I love.
Which we named after ourselves, and then we named the Sprite Cookie. But we end up just calling her Sprite anyway.
Yeah.
Or him, I'm not sure what it was. And it was always, because that was the third character. If you ever played, alright, going back to Super Nintendo, now everyone was either into Final Fantasy or Chrono Trigger. And Chrono Trigger is arguably the greatest game ever. I never played it. Our game, though, was Secret of Mana. It was also a Squaresoft game, but it was a 3-player action RPG if you had the multi-tap. At the very least, 2 players on the system.
It had the best saving system because you go into an inn and sleep.
Yeah, you go to sleep.
So cute.
The health system was all candies and chocolates and honeys and things like that. And it's basically an action RPG where, if you had 3 players, like eventually it's interesting because it starts off with just one character. And then eventually you run into the other characters, and then they become playable. You can either switch to be them and set the other to a computer to be like, make him more tactical or make him more spell-based. Or you plug in another controller, and now you have 3 players in an RPG on the Super Nintendo. I say unheard of, unprecedented. Because even to this day, like, of course you have your MMORPGs, but even to this day, most single-player RPGs are just that, single-player. Unless you count Final Fantasy IX, where during battles, you could plug in a second controller and have someone else make choices, which really... That's debatable whether that's worth it. So this was our game, and it was played a lot of it. Lot of Secret of Mana, and it's a huge game. Like you venture off. You start off like in a woods place, and there's all these kingdoms around. Then you end up in all these like weird underworlds, and then a desert with pirate ships and friggin' caves, and then you fight yourself, and it's symbolic and stuff.
Yeah,
and the system was each weapon, which there's a lot of them. There's sword, there's a javelin, there's a whip, there's fist, which is awesome because you like punch bad guys and stuff. Each weapon, as it levels up, you gain an extra charge. And charge is when you hold punch. You like do a swipe, then you start going, and you like level up, and then you release a second attack. That's like a special attack. But the more you held it, as you unlocked them, you got 8 levels of charging, and this mirror's like, then you just go ballistic and fly around the whole stage and just kick the piss out of it. And it was a very grind game because it took a long time to level up your spells. And your spells were really limited too, because you can only use them like 3 or 4 times. I remember
Taskmaster too, because it's like I'd want to just go play a level. Like, no, we have to go train in the
We kept training because we had to grind because we had to train our characters because they weren't strong enough for the next boss. So like we'd stay in the winter woods and just beat up wolves all day. That was our game. So if you've never had like a multiplayer RPG experience, like you're missing out on Secret of Mana. It's definitely, and I think they re-released it for like iPhone or something.
I just like any game I don't get sucked into. Like I'm walking around a world map and then it's like, and then you're caught into a fight.
You run into that
I'd rather just fight or run away because mostly I just run for it.
But that's because Final Fantasy and most of the other traditional JRPGs are based on Dungeons and Dragons. That core where it's just an encounter has happened. And now you enter encounter, and now it's all a bunch of math and numbers and luck.
Well, I remember when did we play our first? What is it called again? Dungeons and Dragons. It was like last year, and you were like, "There's a lot of math in this."
Yeah, there's a lot of. I just want to do things and have like my version. I want to make like the D&D.
Because you were trying to be the funny character. You're like, I pushed Katie in the lake, and then it's like,
Miss.
Oh, she's too strong. And you're like, well,
everything I did failed. I'm like, I want to pull the bookshelf down on the bad guys, and it's like, you're too weak. I'm like, I hate this game because I wanted a story. I didn't want like odds and numbers and crap and arbitrary stuff. Because like my problem was in this game, we spent like an hour in a cave, ironically, fighting wolves, just like Secret of Mana.
Wow.
And it was just like, every time either you just miss or it wasn't strong enough, I'm like, let's just like blast through this and get back to the story. Like I want the Monkey Island version of D&D.
Yeah,
I want the LucasArts version where we just have tools and we talk to people. And like none of this rolling the dice for odds and stuff.
That's the most fun for me, just wandering around and just some witty banter.
Yeah, so that's what I want to do. And so playing games like Final Fantasy when it's like, swing, miss. I'm like, what do you mean miss? He was right there. If this was Zelda, he'd be dead.
You're pretty irate.
Yeah, no, it just doesn't work for me. I don't know, but I can see the appeal. I can understand. I can see what's going on, but it's just I don't want the chance that I can like if it serves a story that I miss, sure. If it adds an extra 2 hours that I miss, okay. We have a problem here. And hence why we like Secret of Mana so much more, because it was more like Zelda. Like, what's there is there. You know, if you miss, it's because you suck. It's not because some magical choice of fate and physics said so. You know, screw that. Like, it makes sense on a table, because you're not actually throwing arrows at people and missing or hitting them.
Mm-hmm.
So, sure. But in a game, I'm just like, well, let's lose the time. Let's just make this real. You know, like in Kingdom Hearts, you can miss because you hit a wall or you didn't aim it good or whatever. Sure, I accept that. But in Final Fantasy, it's still like,
why don't you aim it good?
Yeah, you gotta aim gooder, Sora. Use your heart and believe, Sora. Aim gooder.
I like that. Wise words.
I never finished the second Kingdom Hearts though. I started it, and then I went dual blade insane mode. I'm like, oh my god! But then that was kind of it. Oh well. I don't know. I feel like the Disney really bogs down it sometimes. Like, in the beginning, it was kind of cool. I'm like, oh my god, we're in Merlin, this place, it's awesome. And, oh, this, and, oh, it's my favorite characters. But by the second one, you're like, the plot's getting better, but I keep getting like, let's now go to Floodland! And I'm like, well, there's the Keyblades, and it's like, Dumbo needs help! And I'm like, no, he doesn't. The Keymaster, and it's like...
There's more things at stake.
Yeah. Like I almost prefer just the Final Fantasy crossover with the Kingdom Hearts. Like when it starts off and you're in Kingdom Hearts 2 when you're playing as Roxas and you're in this town and there's like weird stuff going on, there's hooded people and all your plans keep getting canceled for some reason and there's a mystery and saltwater ice creams and things. It's great. But then it's like, oh boy guys, now we gotta go to the Bell's Tower and say hi to the Beast. I'm like, how does this advance the plot? It's like, not very much!
I don't know if that's Mickey or Sora.
It's both.
Okay.
And it's just like
That's
really,
your voice for everybody.
pretty much. But it's just so problematic because it's just like none of these environments serve the plot at all. They're just like, we better go there because it's Disney, guys. Oh boy, the Hunchback's clock tower. Like, what are we doing up there? It's like, we're helping the Quasimodo find love.
It's kind of like Final Fantasy and Disney teamed up and it was cool for a bit, and then Final Fantasy was trying to like go its own way, but Disney keeps calling to hang out.
Yeah, pretty much.
All the time. It's like,
pretty much.
Oh yeah, it's like that one person that you can't get rid of. Like, sure, okay.
I don't know.
Disney. Yeah.
I just feel like, because you see all the trailers, and it's like, oh my god, there's like a graveyard of Keyblades, and this guy turned to ice, and that guy kind of looks like that other guy, and what does it mean, and who's from the heart of whatever. Then the next minute, it's like, hey guys, I'm back! And like, oh, really? Why are you here? Oh boy, Keyblades! I'm like, ah! I'm like, because it's like this creepy ass warlocky dude is like being badass and freezing people, and then he makes a giant heart in the sky, and you're like, no! And then it's like, oh, let's go to the sacred place where there's a big picture of Snow White. We all love her much. And I'm like, what? No! How is Alice a princess? She's like a British student.
Princess of Wonderland.
Just because they're a female character in Disney doesn't mean you're a princess. I don't know. That's more symbolic.
Everybody's a princess.
Kyrie was yes.
Everybody's a princess.
Every little girl's a princess. Don't you forget that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my beef with Kingdom Hearts. It's a shame because like some of the other stuff, like the DS ones, like when it's like 3/4 by a half cup of fun or whatever they called it, they have like characters from World Ends With You showing up, and it's like, oh, it's like these badass kids with spiky hair and keys and stuff. And then friggin' like Mushu or someone comes by and it's like, crap. I forgot. I don't know. Shaggy, your silly voices are confusing members of my household, says TV Twitter.
Why aren't you listening to this with headphones?
Yeah, you probably should, keep this private. We talk about weird stuff.
Claire can't get in. I've been on the live stream page for over an hour waiting for the stream to start, and it didn't update. So oh.
Hey, close your browser and unplug your computer.
I'm sorry about that, Claire.
That's
why we do record every episode, though. So
that is true.
If you missed craziness, it'll be
on the YouTube channel. Check out Shanahanigans.live YouTube page. It'll have all our travel shows as well as season 1 and now season 2. Shanahanigans Live. We gotta upload a couple more episodes.
Yeah, and actually live stream will hold the 5 latest episodes on the page. So
for
as soon as we finish, it'll all be on stream. So
and they'll be delayed eventually.
And then live stream will eat it.
Just destroy it forever. Oh wells. But that's Kingdom Hearts.
That was very energetic.
Pretty much. I like being angry though. It's good after a day of work.
It
helps.
It's because if something bad happens at work, you just have to be like, okay. You want me to redo okay.
Yeah, it's like someone hands me like the papers, like, oh, all this has to be redone, and oh, hey, is that your new shirt? And pours his coffee all over it. I'm like, I see. And I just bring this with me, and now I'm like, and then in this movie, then they start singing.
You let it out in a good way, though.
Maybe.
It's kind of like
it's therapeutic. Why not?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm looking forward to. Oh, actually, I just posted quickly from IGN, did a little quick review-ish type thing, or a warning, a PSA against the game that just came out. So Final Fantasy, as we were just talking about, they came out with this game called Final Fantasy Battle Advance. I don't know what it is. It's called like Super Big Fun Battle, whatever. And it's basically an app on your iPhone, iPad, that, and up front it looks awesome, because it's like, holy shoes. It's like it looks like Final Fantasy 3, 4, whichever you want to say, like kind of, not retro 8-bit, but like 16, maybe in between. And you have like 20 characters on your team, all lined up, like the traditional 4 or 3 you'd have, but like 20 of them, and they just start rushing bad guys, and you're like going to town, just doing spells and chopping, and I'm like, what could possibly be wrong with this? But then they start explaining, they're like, now, there's no tactics at all in this game, all you gotta do is rub the screen and the characters will just do things. You can't tell them which target you want them to go after, they just fight whatever. They all do basically the same move and the same spell, and here's the kicker though. when one of your characters dies or just knocked out and you want them to come back, you've got to wait like it was like 15 to 30 minutes for them to come back, or through the magic of microtransactions, you can pay $1 or something or 50 cents and bring them back right away.
Oh.
So Square has the brass balls to make a game where when your characters die, if you want to play again right away, you have to pay microtransactions to bring them back into the game.
That's pretty gross.
And this is the point that I was fearing that. And the most common concepts of video games that we grew up on and took for granted, heaven forbid, having lives in a game. Like, the arcade made sense because it's like they don't want you playing the game forever. You die 3 times, it's over, or pay to play again. That went away with home console. We also had game overs, but then that started going away too with checkpoints and save points and lives. But now it's gone full circle where we got to pay again.
That makes me angry.
If we die in games.
Because it's, at the video game, it's kind of like it levels you off where it's like, whatever place you come from, this is the game. You don't get a leg up because you're rich.
No, now you do.
Now you do.
Yeah.
Now you do.
He who has the most money. Like, all right, there's ups and downs to the microtransaction formula. A lot of games.
What, though? If someone wants to spend it, go for it.
It's your fault. You're supporting it. Don't.
No. But like, it doesn't like. Because you can't afford it, suddenly the character doesn't show up like, what, you're a cheapskate? You can't afford it.
Oh, pretty much. It was like,
like
say if we had Tamagotchis back in the day, as we did, and it's like, and there was a little swipe thing for your Visa card at the bottom. It's like,
oh my god,
I need food to live. And it's like
crying.
$5, and you're like, fucking shut up, swipe. This is beside your bed.
Tamagotchi's starving to death.
It's like, swipe, go away.
$5 a nugget.
And he eats it right away.
And then he gets sick, and he's like, no, I'm sick, and it's like injections are $50, and you're like, oh, come on.
But that's what's happening, and the problem is, if it continues happening, it's our own faults. Now, what I was going to say is the microtransaction formula works in our favor sometimes, that many of the online-only kind of games, which rely on having players, customers, product, technically, because we are a product of the game, being if there's no players online, no one's going to play. The game is free to play, and you level up well enough, takes a while, but where they make their money is you can level up faster or get the newer items or unlock new things that the regulars can't get if you do the microtransactions. So, that goes entirely in our favor. If we're cool and happy with what we have, being like a basic grunt with some shields and whatever, cool. We get a free game, and if we want a little more or things happen faster, time is money, let's spend the money, and that happens. Like, we're kind of good with that. But it's when the most basic concepts of games were like, oh, you want a jump button for your character? Well, Altair's not going to jump unless you buy the jump pack. I'm like, so can I just run around? Running? No. You're going to walk!
25 cents for...
You're going to walk through Venice.
The thing is I can't...
Good luck, assassino.
I can't picture this taking off, though.
No?
I hope not.
Square Enix, one of the biggest distributors of RPGs.
Okay, well, they're just dicks. That's pretty...
Yeah, it's happening, though.
I mean, I don't even know. Were they going broke? Like, what was the thing?
Well, have you played DLC Quest? Asked Kel McDonald. Yes, I haven't played it yet, but I watched the demo. I do want to try it. It's basically a game designed on this premise where you have to gain money in the game by collecting coins and then buying all your abilities. And they are the most basic of abilities. They are walk, push, rock, jump. And so your character, basically, you have to spend... Actually, I really want to play that now you've mentioned it. I think I had it on a wish list, maybe. Is it on Steam? So if it is, I have a lot of Steam games that I gotta play. But yeah, it's basically that idea where you level up, not by, skill of being a good character leveling up. You gotta, spend the whole way to unlock things.
Good.
I think you had to, spend money to end the chapter, too, or something like that. There's weird things, just playing the game. I don't know, but this is kind of the model we're falling into, and it can be good if you want to get free games, but it can be bad if you hold on to how games once were. And there's no one to say you're supposed to, you're not supposed to spend money to get these things. It's supposed to be like this. There's no rule. No one has to give you extra characters for free. Like, remember back in the day, you unlock characters in fighting games in Smash Bros. Super Smash Bros. 4 extra characters hidden in the sides. And you're like, oh my god, someday I'm going to unlock them.
Yeah.
Nowadays, that will never happen again. You have to buy them.
You don't get the same satisfaction, though, I don't think. You don't feel like you earned it. It's kind of like in video games, whenever we had to go into the U-cheat, like, we hated it. We never wanted to cheat. But
Game Genie?
No, there was that U-hint or something website.
Oh, like a website.
Yeah, because we could never figure out how, well, like Sam and Max, we couldn't figure out how to stop the stupid...
Okay, that was ridiculous, though. That was a technical
like,
error of the game.
Okay, we're gonna have to cheat. And it was just, like, so... You felt so dirty.
Oh yeah, no, I don't. Well, especially like games like Phoenix Wright. If you're using the hint guide, then like why are you playing? Like I'm not like judging anyone, but it's kind of like the point of these games is to figure it out. And if it's just like you use the guide the whole way through, you're not actually experiencing the game. Now, if that's how you want to play and you just want the story and characters and the action, well, you might as well watch on YouTube maybe. But if that's what you want to do, go for it. But it's like certain kind of games you don't want to use the hint guide because the point of the game is to figure it out. But in this case, if any of you played Sam & Max Hit the Road from LucasArts way back when on PC or Mac, there was this one puzzle that we just could not figure out because it used a mechanic that was never used in the game at all. Where you had to basically like it's you, Sam, the dog, and your bunny friend Max, and you can sometimes try to like use Max as an item. And it's like use Max on this, and like he's like, oh, he'd probably try to swallow them or something like that, or oh, he won't fit. And once in a while it would work. He'd actually do something. Mm-hmm. But in this case, you had to use Max with a flashlight and then use them with something else. And that kind of combination with the Max, like with other items, sure. But never with Max. There was never a combination with Max that then was used again separately. And that's why we could not figure out this game because of the mechanic. It was never introduced. It was never hinted. And there was no way we could have figured it out unless we tried everything possible, which we were getting to. And I don't even think we would figure that out. So that was the only time. And like after that, the game was a breeze afterwards by comparison because it was natural logic
we just
and puzzles.
Get that stain out.
I don't know, like the fact that I still remember that one puzzle forever and how bad we felt.
I had to have a hint guide for like the
Princess.
You knew exactly what I was talking
Bride.
about. The King's Quest game, the Princeless Bride.
King's Quest 7.
Friggin', what was it? Saria? No.
That's a good game.
Who was that game designer?
Yeah, Saria.
Saria? They were brutal. Your characters would die.
Oh, Saria games were awful.
So stressful.
At least LucasArts, you don't die,
playing
really.
The King's Quest and just stressing out watching my friend play it because it was like you're trapped in a cellar and it's like, and the prince never made it out of the cellar. He starved in there, and I'm like, what? Yeah. This is awful. And then in the Queen's Quest, or Princess Quest. King's Quest Princeless Bride. There's just so many chances to die, and it's just so stressful. Or the horrible sad ending if you don't save the guy in time. It's like a funeral instead of a wedding.
A funeral like, instead of a wedding. You're like, wow, that's a different ending.
And you feel awful.
It was a great game because it was fully animated. Like Monkey Island 3, it was all like hand-drawn. It was like an animation. But the thing is, you can get killed in dumb ways. There's one where there's this like silver dragon who's apparently your friend. But at one point she's sleeping, and if you try to get one of her scales from the wrong side, she'll crush you with her tail, and you're like, what were the odds of that happening?
Yeah, there's so many ways to get killed.
Yeah. The Saria games were brutal compared to LucasArts, which were just silly.
This just reminded me of something. I don't know if, just because in the Princeless Bride there were all those trolls and things in the underground. Yeah. And I was thinking about that creepy Goblin King in The Hobbit.
Oh.
Did you know that was Dame Edna? The voice?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Because I was watching the behind the scenes and it was like, oh yeah, like I wanted to get...
Hello, possums!
Hello, possums!
Wow. Interesting.
Because I was like, it's kind of familiar and I don't know why.
Well, also,
I don't know where I know her without the like cat glasses.
Yeah.
The purple wig.
Well, also like all the trolls and villains from Lord of the Rings were all like these just British blokes, really. Yeah. So like, I'm a troll, really, and it's like, and that was not to go back to the Hobbit, but that was one of the major differences between Hobbit and Lord of the Rings as well. It's like you once in a while had a silly voice thing where it's like, I want some meat, and it's like that's it. But it's
like if everybody was silly voices.
This is like the
Nazgul or like silly voices.
This would be like like the Uruk-hai are like, hey, wartime, and it's like all right. Versus like it's everyone were silly blokes, you know.
I find Tumblr's really good for that though. Just everybody's making me laugh with the little captions and stuff.
Yeah. Well, there's that one like I didn't summon you here. And it's like I did, and it's like fuck.
It's like,
and it pans over to Saruman, and Gandalf's like, oh shit. It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
It kills me.
Let's just jump back in the chat quickly to say free-to-play is okay to Screen Force as long as it steers clear of ridiculous advantages for paying players. But once again, that kind of comes down to, like, why do us who don't pay for the game deserve the advantages? And that's the whole thing they're banking on, is that you will want to pay to play.
You should be punished for paying to play.
Like, I think especially in free-to-play that would be the case, but in a game like Halo that you pay for in the first place, if there was better guns that you had to pay on top of, that would be screwing you over more,
funny,
I think.
If you are the person that pays for stuff, characters will treat you different.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, well, we don't all have nice daddy to buy us things.
Oh, yeah.
Like, well, that's the thing. Fun of you for buying.
Well, I was thinking, like, on our end, all of us being cheap, like, we work up, like, the guy who paid to play, I was like, yeah, and then he'd have, like, $signs above his head all the time to show that he bought his way up. But I know, so people would be like, you didn't earn that gun. But I know the game developers would not do that, because then that would add a stigma and people won't pay.
But I think it'd be really funny.
It would be amazing, though, if, like, you know, if you bought the armor and then it's, like, it has a big $sign splashed across it, as opposed to it being, like, the legit one, and it's like, oh, you got the special edition. Money bags, you know? Or, like, if your character runs around, like, dollar bills trail in his path, kind of thing.
These really annoying, like, yes men characters that, like, keep, like, following you around all the time.
Well, this was the other thing was, when there's this big, you can argue that this is maybe even worse or better to a degree. When it comes to games where you level up, sometimes they have things like double XP weekends, where like, oh, if you play this weekend, you get more experience. Halo had the ingenious thing where instead, if you bought bags, especially marked bags of Doritos and Mountain Dew, it came with codes that you can enter, and how much, you know, whether you've got like a bag of Doritos and a Mountain Dew would equal more, you'd get double experience for the next so many amount of games. And I was thinking, like, the characters who did this, you know, their Spartan, their Halo character, should be running around saying, do the do! All the time, and be glowing green, a healthy green Mountain Dew glow, and, like, be throwing chips everywhere. When they get killed, instead of an explosion, it'd be Doritos, to know that asshole was doing the double XP thing.
But I think it'd be really...
Do that do!
I feel like that's a better community thing, too, because it's just hilarious, and you'd want to do it, because it's just ridiculous.
I feel like Team Fortress would do that, compared to, like, Halo's team doing that. It'd be something more that they'd pull.
I would love that in a game, like just something so ridiculously fourth wall.
Yeah, like more shenanigans like that.
I just like shenanigans.
What else we got going on here? I just mean, this says Great Purpose, you should have a fair chance. I don't mind when they don't let you have access to some content, but buying stats seems a little iffy. But it's kind of happening.
Yeah.
Because like, what is anything? What is buying that new weapon that has slightly longer range versus like, you know, unlocking it? And
it's like, and I'm sure this has happened, but like it's like what I was saying about the Lego Star Wars. Like, why not just not Lego? Yeah, the Lego Star Wars toy. Why not just pay someone better to play the game, and then you can watch it and get the best. You know,
that was going back to WarCraft. That was kind of the whole thing with farming.
I know that's I'm being a little bit. Because it's like, it is fun to play, and it's just, you don't want to level up, you want the thing now.
The thing is, it's that, because as a kid, we were able to put the time into the Final Fantasies and stuff. You know what, and there's people... though,
because I'm thinking about it, because if Final Fantasy was like, if you pay $20 a year, you don't get sucked into, like, monster battles, I'd be like... Here's my card. Like, you get to just go around town and talk to people. I'd be like...
No, I think, like, the random battle would happen, and then, like, Cloud raises, like, a Visa card... And then the monster goes away. He's like, ah! Dun, 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 dun,
no, but the thing is, I just hate the battle. Like, I hate, like I just want to run giant around town.
Yeah.
I want to run to the little tiny village and jump around on it.
And just talk to people,
I just want to figure out what's going on.
You should just play Assassin's Creed then, but don't do the missions. Just run around town. That's all that. Because I realized, which game was it? I think it might have been... No, it was actually. It was Assassin's Creed 2, where you're in Venice and stuff, in Italy. And I got so much into just making my villa nice and buying art that I forgot what the storyline was. So I was like going around making my villa, adding extensions. I'm like, and then diving off things. I'm like, yeah, this is nice.
Amazing. You know? If the story point was like your house gets like burned and you're just like extra pissed.
Well, the next game after that kind of does that for you because they raid my villa.
Aww.
And I'm like, I had so much nice art in there. Ah, dicks. But what I was originally going to was crap. I forget what it was. Okay, time. It comes down to there are people who like will buy characters on eBay, like buy accounts of leveled up WarCraft characters to like level 60 because they don't want to spend the hours grinding. They just want to go with their higher level friends on a raid, but they don't have time to level up to that level.
Well, that's kind of the problem, because like I have a couple friends who do play WarCraft. WarCraft?
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't have time for games, but I've always been curious because it sounds like they have a lot of fun. So I'd be like, oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, you'd be level 1 and you'd just die.
I'd have to wait outside with their beasts while they go into a dungeon.
You just like rope them up for them
into a dungeon. I'm just like doing dances up top, because I guess
there should be like Squire mode. Where you're like, you can't fight, but you're covered in shields, and you can just like follow them along.
Pull arrows out of enemies and bring them back.
Yeah, and you're like, hey guys. You have like
Can I bring you some hot cocoa?
You have like an invisibility cloak, and like no one would notice you, and you can just hang out with your friends and chat. That'd be great, Squire mode kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like it's still changing the face of games. Like people are saying this next console generation is gonna be like the last one, because consoles just aren't making as much sense anymore. With like TVs are gonna have built-in game access to like certain networks. Like all you have to do is own a Sony TV, and you technically have a PlayStation. You know, like the disc-based games have been like depleting, especially on PC if they're not dead yet. And it's just kind of like the whole industry is going to change. And microtransactions are, whether you like them or not, to a degree, the way of the future. Mm-hmm. Whether that means we get free games and we become the product, and thus it's, you know, we're a part of this multiplayer world that encourages more people to join and, you know, surpass us by spending more. I don't know. But things are changing, man. That's all I gotta say. There's a bunch of stuff in the chat before. What's it? Barrett starts making fun of Cloud for having weapons that were microtransactions. Probably. We live in the slums.
Barrett
nice
makes
sword,
fun
you
of
jerks.
Cloud, though.
Fluxbox.
Barrett's always like,
yeah, you spiky head freak.
You think you're so good for us.
Does he though?
He doesn't trust him.
I thought he hired him, or was it Tifa who did it?
Tifa's like,
oh, okay.
That's because we were childhood friends.
Yeah, we wore hats together. That's the only flashback I have of those two. She has like her farm hat.
What is it? Nibelheim?
Nibbles. Nibelheim. That was like one of the biggest cover-ups in video games too. It's like that town burned to the ground,
there was a cute
and Shinra replaced it.
There was a cute drawing I saw. Someone was it was like a Wreck-It Ralph fan art where Zangief was saying to Ralph, like, "We are bad guys, but not bad guys," and Sephiroth walks in like, "Hey guys, sorry I'm late." Like just after
massacred a village.
Nibelheim massacre, and they're all just looking.
What I miss?
Because that's pretty. I don't know how you're like okay with yourself after that.
I guess it's totally okay for companies to do that. They're customers. I just wouldn't be one of them. So screw purpose. Yeah, it's like we'll see what happens because the whole face of the industry is changing. And you know, change is good, but just not what Final Fantasy just pulled off in that stupid app. Yeah. Like when you take the most, this DLC quest basically, and this isn't even DLC. This is like function payment, and it kind of started with a lot of the strategy games. Like I don't know if it's Farmville probably. But like that, and there's the Simpsons game, which was like a Overtown Simpsons sim thing. But it's like you could have your store level up in a week, or you buy donut dollars from EA and have it level up in less than 5 minutes.
No way.
And basically, game companies are cleverly capitalizing on our whole time is money idea. And either I can spend a week doing something, or I can spend money and accomplish the same thing in like less than a week. Which doesn't really balance out because if you did spend the week, it's not like you'd be gaining money for doing it, like real world dollars. Mm-hmm. So the whole time is money is kind of a moot point at that section. Mm-hmm. You know, unless... Yeah, it's a thing. It's not like, oh, I'm grinding playing this game, but I'm going to make money for it. Versus spending... I don't know. It's weird. But, you know, just if you don't like something, don't support it. That's the best way. Vote with your dollars, which a lot of us
but that's what those
still
people
don't
aren't doing.
Which a lot of people still don't do because they want to be like, I don't want to miss out on the latest map pack, even though it's like overpriced and all remakes of original levels.
It's pretty bad.
I don't want to not play it like my friends, so, and then everyone says that, and then they all buy it, and then we just encourage it to keep happening to us. Vote with your dollars.
Or read a book.
Well, that's the same...
I don't know.
From the library. Because we don't want to support books either.
I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, I wonder if I can write off library fines as tax write-off for books.
Wow.
I'm like, no, I can't.
You're just digging
because it's like,
one.
sometimes it's like, oh, I could have just bought this.
Well, that was me with, like, I know you get all your comics and stuff in the library, but I'm still like, you know, the latest...
I get all my comics from the library. I get a lot of stuff. Things I'm interested in, I'll buy.
Yeah.
things by acquaintances, I'll buy because I want to support them with my dollars.
Is it in the library yet?
But if it's like a whole bunch of titles I haven't heard of or something I'm kind of curious about, I usually just get it from the library because that's supporting a library too.
I guess I was a bigger risk taker, but with your late fees, yes. I think I was a bigger risk taker with books back when I was like in university because like my university was right beside a comic shop.
Oh, that's right.
And when they had the seasonal sales, like we'd be in line before the store even opened. Like, the guy comes up in the store and sees, like, 4 of us there. He's like, what are you guys waiting for? It's like, sale, man. We come there, blow, like, $100+ on, like, manga and stuff, and then come out, like, read them all in the lunch break. And then that's it. It's like, wow, that's done.
Well, I remember when I was working at Core, back when it used to exist on King Street before it turned into the Firkin, I think. On my lunch breaks, I would, because it was a good studio, but a lot of people like to sit around and eat lunch at their desks, and I just had to get out
that does kind of happen.
Well, because it's I need to get out of the studio, especially when I'm working in the basement.
Yeah.
Place I was like, I just have to get out and walk around. And the Silver Snail was back on its Queen location, so I'd go up there, I'd buy a comic, and then I'd go get sushi. And every day I would just buy a comic, go get sushi.
Just to get out.
Or something else. But I think I remember reading like through all of Preacher. Like I was just buying one book.
Oh, wow.
Buying another book. And then just a whole bunch of titles like Transmet, like buy a book, read it. Sandman, buy a book, read it. Yeah, because it was like slowly. And it was, you could read through it pretty quick. Like maybe
you can finish like 2 books within an hour basically.
Yeah. But I was supporting them with my dollars.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And then they went away.
Oh, no, they just moved down the street. Now they have a cafe inside.
Yeah.
What was something else we did recently?
I went to Ladies' Night at the Comic Lounge.
Oh, yeah, I want to talk about that, actually.
It was fun.
So, just to explain it, over on West College Street, Little Italy, basically near the edge of it, there's a place called the Comic Book Lounge, which is basically... at the time I was going, it wasn't as much of a store. Is it more of a store now, or?
Yeah, it's a store.
Because they often have like art on the walls you can buy. They have couches. They
have a lot
serve
of gallery
stuff.
showings from local Toronto artists. They'll have comic pages up. You can buy prints. You can buy. I think you can buy originals too. But it's also the part of the Guerrilla Printing print shop is in the back. But there's a space that they leave open for parties and rental, and we've gone to a couple parties there, but this was a ladies' night, which was
ladies only.
Just a roll call. Everybody who just wants to come out and just have a time hanging out with the girls talking geeky stuff, and it was really fun. I met some really great people.
I read an article on it. It was like a lot of business cards were exchanged.
Yeah, I didn't even think about business cards. I was like, it's a good thing I at least have some, because I have met like women who run their own clothing line, like making. There was a girl I met who, she's a fashion designer and she makes all her own clothes that like go into a lot of shops that I like to pop into, and like journal writers for comic sites and artists and writers, and it was buskers. It was cool. It was fun.
Cool.
There was blueberry wine though, and that was really strong because a lot of us were like by the end of it.
Excellent.
But yeah, it was fun. I got to meet up with some friends from animation school I hadn't seen in a really long time too, which was great. And I hope they do more stuff like that. I think
you just gotta. Do you have them on your Twitters to see what
I
they're
do.
up to?
Well, I know Alice Quinn, who runs Quintessential Comics. She organized it, and she's pretty like there with the behind the scenes in the comic community in Toronto. Like definitely getting more and more out there. So. If you're in Toronto and you want to just it doesn't. There's ladies' nights, but there's also like everybody come out. So keep an eye on the Comic Lounge because it's it's a pretty creative city. So if you're here and you're not feeling you're meeting your crowd, they're here. It's just
they're around. You don't have to imagine like maybe Portland has more people.
No,
now we'll move there,
here.
But it's like there are people here. You just gotta look for them and go to the events.
It's a bit of a risk sometimes because you're not sure. I don't know if I'm going to know anybody, and you walk in, you're a little bit shy, but everybody's really nice, and you just connect on something, as long as someone's not the, I hate everything. Well, but, I mean, that can be fun, too, because you can argue it, but that was fun.
Supposedly there's another event on Saturday. It's like a fundraiser for Quinn's new season of her web show. So there's going to be lots of art for sale. I know Brian Avenue has some stuff.
That's right. Our friend Brian.
But a bunch of people are going to be there. I'm not good with names.
Brian and a bunch of people.
Brian and a bunch will be displaying stuff this Saturday at the Comic Lounge between 2 and 7. So if you want to stop by, raise some funds, be sure to do that if you're in Toronto. There's There's events. You gotta go to them, right?
Yeah, I mean, the funds are for her show, which is interviewing a lot of Toronto artists.
Yeah.
She was here in our studio interviewing.
That's true. She was up here.
And then you interviewed her on our roof.
Yes. I think that might be one of the last episodes of Talking to the Microphone.
Yeah.
Because I'm officially shutting it down, I think. It's just, I find I tend to go through these like phases of what type of things I want to work on. Like, especially when it comes to the YouTube series. It's like, I'll shut it down for a season, then I'm like, I miss doing that. And I start it up again, and then I shut it down after a season finale. And I'm like, I miss doing that. I want to do it differently this year. And the weird thing is, inevitably, I get these like comments. Like, there's one that still burns my butter.
Oh, don't even.
Where it's this guy being like, oh, doesn't he say this like
I have
every
that
year?
Too.
And I'm like, well, yeah, that's called a season. You do a season, you stop, then you start again.
Some people are just dorks. I remember people like...
I think his exact word was like, he's been saying this like for the past 4 years. I'm like, because I had 4 seasons. I started and stopped. Of course I say a new season is coming, because the season ended.
No, I mean, there's so many things to get you upset. Don't even.
Yeah.
No,
it's just that one because it was factually, like, he had all the facts, but he presented it like it was a negative thing. It's like, he says this every year, and it's been 4 years. And I was like, because every year I do it, and then I stop doing it, and then I do it again.
Yeah, some people just get really...
Now, if I said it was going to be like I'm doing it all the time, then yeah, that's a big fat lie. You know, I run out of the gates proud and running fast, and then after the first 5, it's like once a month and once every 3 months. And now I'm just trying to like finish off these last 2 episodes I shot and like debate if I'm even releasing them. But instead of the Talking to the Microphone, which originally was just an excuse for, well, at the very beginning it was just me having more of like an essay style rant that would be too long and not interesting visually, because I'd have to like hours to like find visuals to match up. But it was just me like discussing stuff like my trips to like Oregon and things like that, and certain terms and wordings and how things are all wrong. But then eventually it was this weird excuse to just like bring over a friend and interview them on what they do. Like I was talking to like my friend who was like way into yoga and just being like, why should I eat good? Or
you should.
And I'd usually trick people into doing it. Like
you just start talking and then you'd ask this really weird leading question.
Yeah.
You'd be like, are you recording this? Yes, I am! Welcome to another exciting episode.
I'd have a microphone on the whole time and just be like, oh, do you want to sit down over there? Hey, new episode!
You tricked Heather into it. How did you do that?
I told her to test this mic for me. I'm like, oh, I'm just checking this new software. And she's like, oh, hello. I'm like, you're on a new episode! And that's how I got most of my guests.
It's hard to walk away from that.
But I think, and then eventually like I brought the recording equipment, which is this thing we're using right here, actually. To like conventions like Anime North and C2E2.
Really fun...
Yeah, and I had some chats there, but I'm thinking like a lot of those ones were more about like, well, the Anime North one was just silly. It's actually really fun if you want to check that out. But the C2E2 one was a lot more about like writing and comics and stuff anyway. And then the last one I did was with, like Quinn was on the roof, and we did it outside actually. It was really nice.
Yeah, because there was that like thing with the raccoon on the roof.
Yeah.
The neighbor was trying to get out of the room.
And so what I'm planning on doing now is like shut that down, and I'm thinking I might mention this briefly before. I'm starting, it's still in the works, but we did our first meeting yesterday of our Write Nights, where you know the inspiration is
with a WRIT.
Katie, as this artist person, has all these venues of social outlets and things to go to, her drink and draws and her sketches and her freaking girl night and this and that. And I'm sitting around here being like, I haven't talked to an actual writer in so long. And I'm like, I gotta remedy this. Yeah. So I started doing this thing called Write Night. And we only did our first one. It was over at a coffee shop, and we had like a base topic of what to start with and just go for it. And I kind of just recorded it for good nature, just like for other people to listen to.
Because I really wanted to go to the one this week, but then that's my life drawing classes are starting.
Well, that's why, because this show that you're watching right now moved to Thursdays, because Katie has life drawing on Wednesdays. So I said, I'm going to do Wednesdays Write Night, where people come out, other writers, and it's not mandatory. I'll be there anyway. If you want to show up, it's up to you, people. But it's the first discussion we had was on writing in a vacuum, or versus getting feedback. And it was just talking about the concepts of, do we write just for ourselves, and if we happen to get an audience, so be it, or are we trying to appease the audience? Should we try to make the best of our work, or is it like getting feedback? Is it the best just to make the better story, or are you just trying to get what you want out there?
Stephen King says you should write with your door closed and rewrite with your door open.
Well, I wish you read that. Maybe that was a good quote.
I gave you his auto-bio book thing.
Oh, I did not read it.
You were like, meh. I like him. He's got really good advice.
Fair enough. I'll look at that later. But this week,
they made you read a book in high school that you hated.
Just because I read Rose Matter, it was one of the dumbest things I read. But it was slightly intense. But that ending, weak sauce. Like she jumps out of the picture frame and is like, "Bah!" And I'm like,
we had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, There's a horse. But, don't read it. But, this week's conversation, is, the villain in you. Let's talk bad guys.
Yeah.
So that's what's coming up this week. And I'm thinking, I'm going to do it like instead of, because podcast is a pain in the ass when you had to like set up a blog and an RSS and this and make sure it goes to the feed. SoundCloud actually has direct RSS setup for like iTunes and everything. And SoundCloud is basically like YouTube for audio. So I'm just like, you know what? I might just do this on SoundCloud, start again. And, so you guys might be able to get a new series coming your way, hopefully weekly, starting Wednesdays. Write Night, where if you're a writer, if you're a writer for your hobby or want to do it for a career, if it's scripts, if it's comics, if it's movie, if it's TV, if it's play, if it's anything, if it's fan fiction, we're talking about that stuff. We're not going to record the parts where we do talk about our work specifically and try to get feedback. We kind of save that for after the recording just because people want to keep it, like, you know, to the certain crowd. But no, this might be something interesting. We'll see what happens. And you might just learn something. I always feel weird when
if you're not careful, you might just learn something.
I always feel weird when I'm in a position to somewhat teach people because it's like, I'm not a pro to any degree. I could tell you what works for me, but I'm one of the biggest anti-English class guys there is.
I gotta tell you,
where I'm like, who says there has to be rising action?
Feeling you have, I think everybody has that because people come to me for advice and I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about. When I go to people for advice who are like veterans in like the industry, they're like, I don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, well, I guess I've been working in animation since what, 05? So I gotta sort of know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, I think it just comes down to you just tell them how it works for you and why it works for you. You can't say what does work always, but it's like, this is what works for me. Like when I'm writing stories, I find this helps for me. Or it may not. It's not taught anywhere. It may not be the official way, but there is no official way.
Everybody has a different point of view, and I like that because there is no one way to get something done. It's just this worked for me. This might not work again, but this is what I'd recommend. Blah blah blah. So yeah, I'm glad you're recording them.
Yeah. Also, mainly just for people if people want to be weekly.
I'm interested in writing too, because that's something I'd be interested to sit around and talk about. But it's I don't really have time to write because I'm turning scripts into drawings. And I'm turning your scripts into drawings.
Our scripts, damn it! It's not like I'm doing this just for me.
No, I know.
I'm like, make this now. Like that was the Shrub Monkey days. That's over. And I'm like, make this one.
Yeah.
That's long gone. This is more about collaboration.
I enjoy the collaborative because it's the way we work. It's usually he has a script and then it's the art stage will kind of change things a little bit and we'll talk about stuff and add things and take things away and usually it becomes a really cool symbiotic thingy.
Well, it's mainly just setting the groundwork and there will be and there will be feedback in both directions, certain visual things. One of the things, if you read the Tatterhood short, it was just they were in a room and there was sound effects of all the mess going around the house, but it was only coming from the floor. And I'm it kind of has to be all over to show that there's chaos all over the place because now it sounds like they're on the second floor and the madness is just below them.
Yeah,
and it's it's just I'll have points that way and you have points the other way. That's what I always
worry about because it's I love that the way we work is very back and forth, but I worry about if you ever had a job in a comic industry, it's you have a month to get something turned around. So it's do you have any choice or is it everything is scripted out? This is exactly what happens in panel 1, panel 2. This happens. When I see a script like that, I'm eh. Because then it just feels very, I don't know. I'm sure artists are able to make that creative, but I feel no, I want to just
pace it yourself, kind of.
A little bit.
Because that's also why I don't like to write. This happens in panel 1. This happens in panel 2. And that's kind of
the problem we're running into when we're looking into pitching things to bigger publishers.
They want to see
either want it all drawn out. Or they want that script that tells you everything that happens. And
I don't like writing that way because I know I like you to take your take on there's sometimes where I'll be and it happens in 3 panels, the expression drops because it's funny or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'll do that, but for most scenes and actions, I don't say this word bubble could be in panel 2, but it could also start panel 3. It's entirely up to you and how to pick the pose and what they're doing while they're saying it too. There's that idea of you've got to capture that one pose that will at least capture the core of the conversation, because if you have someone saying let's go here, but wait, what about that? It's well, do you want the let's go here face, or do you want the but wait, or the but that? Oh. If you only have one panel to do that conversation, which is the best pose? Or do you do the head whipping into another pose? There's those options, and I won't write that. Yeah, I'm not going to write, and then he has 3 heads to show each face, I want you to figure that out.
There's a book I'm reading with some friends, and there was a comic version of it, and it's kind of it's not a super pro comic, but it's got some good painting stuff in it, but it drives me nuts because it's like the characters' mouths are shut all the time. And I don't know where they're talking from, but they're always like... and just smoldering men, but I'm like, where is this word bubble coming from?
Mumbling?
Like, word bubbles have to come to an open mouth. Like, that's just one of my things. I mean, you know, I can see, like, it's just in my mind when I'm doing a storyboard and I have dialogue, I can't have the character like this. It has to be open. And I guess, and I know there are exceptions where you can have a character like grumbling or something, but for me it's one of those weird tics where it's like mouth must be open if there's a word bubble because that's the pose I'm capturing, like the moment in time. It's like a photograph. It's you don't like just I don't know.
Kel saying I like to do the panel 1 and panel 2 thing, but when I hand that into an artist, I'm cool with them switching things up. Yeah, like it's I don't know, like I find it's almost too like me trying to like figure out what's in every single panel. It's like, who am I to say that? Because I feel like you're the artist. It's like you have a little more, like even with you doing storyboards, are they so specific in the script to say where each beat happens, or do you pace it out yourself?
With these ones, it's actually pretty. They leave it up to my discretion, which is I like the best.
Yeah.
Just being very like, you know, as long as it's entertaining and works and flows, like do what you will.
Yeah. Like there'll be certain times when I'm like, this has to be like a splash page, like because it's like you got to get the effect of the moment, so it's got to like do this. But like beyond that, I tend to just write as much as I would write a radio play. It's just character says this happens. Character says this happens. And unfortunately, that format is like not looked well upon by the editors if you're like submitting it for like and it's like, what's this? What kind of script is this? I'm like, it's my kind.
I know, the one that makes sense to me.
Which bothers me because I bought this book that was like scripts from comic artists, and it's like 5 different artists and their different ways of doing it, and everyone had such a different format. Some were more traditional film style, some were very breaking down page panel, and then you have Jeff Smith, which was like he just drew the damn thumbnails, and that was his script.
Well, because when you are a writer cartoonist, like I think that's how you usually do it. Because sometimes it's like you have the scene in mind before you even have dialogue. You know what has to happen.
Yeah.
And it's dialogue will kind of. I think I might be wrong, but I think Kazoo works this way with Amulet.
He draws.
I mean, he's always sketching out stuff, but like I think it's very. You kind of picture the sequence. Because, I mean, with scripts like this, it's like I can change some dialogue around, but I generally have to go off of the script. I can't kind of, well, I mean, obviously because I'm working with a writer. But if you were working on your own project, and if you were more coming from the cartoonist side of thing, you might be more picturing a sequence than what's exactly spoken first. Because I know some people do work that way, where it's almost beated out like a, I guess, I don't know, I wasn't going to say like a silent film, because you need to have stuff in there, but I don't know, I think you work kind of back and forth. Sometimes you write more stuff, sometimes you draw more stuff. Like, I know there's projects I want to work on where I know exactly what shots I want, but I don't know what's being said. If anything, it's just kind of random yelling.
See, I always wonder, is
how
that...
do you punch this up?
Anyone I've ever talked to, like any writer, they're always like, whenever I talk to them about like how you find artists and things, like to work on a project, and they, kind of like me, always have the same response where it's like, wouldn't like artists want to just make their own stories? Why do they need a writer? Yeah. But if the case is they're like, I know these poses, but I have no idea what they're going to say, I'm like, really? Do we have that power? Like, we know what they're going to say? Us writers?
I think someone with good... You can there's comics that are drawn really great that have really crappy dialogue, and if you have a way of
it's like this awesome pose, but it's like this
but there's something
no personality to the words
that doesn't make a lot of sense. Like if you can go over that and come up with some punchy, interesting, memorable dialogue, that's humongous. Because it's like sometimes on Twitter I'll see kind of like some people like griping a little bit about writers and some people griping a little bit about artists, but really you can't make a comic without either of them.
Yeah, they're kind of useful to each other. But I feel like the artist just has that one up, though, because they can actually, like, draw and write. It's like, writers are like, yeah.
When I think about it, like, the one project I did on my own for the anthology project, there were no words. It was a silent comic. But, I mean, that's what I wanted
to tell. That's how I solved that problem.
I wanted to tell a visual...
Screw words!
I wanted to tell a visual story that didn't need dialogue.
Yeah.
Because I find you're funnier with the snappy...
Oosh.
The snappy talks.
I'll take that. Speaking of taking that, we took a really nice compliment in the form of a review.
That's a funny segue.
For Cautionary Fables and Fairy Tales.
Yeah.
Who was this reviewer? It was
Michael May. He
from Books Good for Kids or something like that.
Yeah, he also writes for Robot 6, part of a...
Oh, really?
CBR, comic book resources.
Yeah, no, those guys have always been kind.
He's the one who wrote up the really nice review.
That was him? Oh, Robot 6 is really cool.
At C2E2, he came by. And
he did?
He bought a copy.
I feel awful. Was I there? I guess not.
You were, I think, running around getting high chews or something.
That's what I do, yes.
Or you were buying your little mustache. You were running amok when he came by. He was a really nice guy.
Yeah, but this review kind of came out of nowhere because it was just like all of a sudden it showed up.
It's been a year, I think, since.
I think it's been a while. It's been a good chunk.
Well, we drew it last February.
Yeah.
And I think Kel had copies at C2E2. I think was the first time I saw them. No, that could be wrong.
When was the first time we saw it? Wasn't it? No, Kel, we did get a box shipped to us in Chicago, didn't we?
Yeah, but I think it was out before that.
Was it? Because I thought we didn't know what it looked like. I don't remember. Was it? Was that the first time we ever got it? In Chicago?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm getting confused.
It came out in March. When was C2E2? Was that in March or April? Kind of like our convention circuit.
Did we go to C2E2 before?
I sent you C2E2 copies. I don't know now.
I think it was in March.
I think it was before.
Yeah.
Either way.
That was fun.
But yeah, like this
this
review.
You did it at Emerald City Comic Con.
Okay, this review just like it popped up, and like you shared it. I'm like, and it was just like it was so nice.
It was a really nice review. It made me feel really glowing.
But the one thing they said that I take dear is like he said, I want them to make like a series about this story, and I'm like, I bet you do.
We can't really talk.
Not saying nothing about nothing.
I'm not saying nothing.
Bet you do.
I'll bet you see.
I've been writing, just saying. But yeah, no, it was a very nice review. So check it out. Check out check out Robot 9.
Yeah, and check out Cautionary Fables. It's a Big Cartel, cfft.bigcartel, and the book's $20 and the PDF is $6, and you can get it just downloaded right to your computer. And there's a lot of really cool artists. Casey Green on it, who's apparently now writing the a lot of cartoons are coming out.
A lot of comic artists are doing comic versions. It's of regular show.
Yeah, the regular show.
Basically,
he's writing
all like the best animated series right now are getting comic renditions, like between Adventure Time, Bravest Warriors. I haven't watched regular show yet, but everyone seems to love it, and Gravity Falls as well. It's like all these shows are getting like comic versions, but done not by like some in-house thing. They're getting like these well-established independent artists and cartoonists who have. Yeah, they're people. It's like a lot of Toronto people in these too, which is really interesting.
Like I always have this little like B list. Where it's like if I could, I would love to like draw one of those comics for like the Adventure Time.
Oh really? Why don't you submit something?
Because I'm like, nah.
Just submit something.
But it's like because I know so many of my peers are having really cool stories and really cool covers, and I'm like, it's like this awesome party, and I'm like,
it's high school all over again. Damn comics.
It's like if I just went to say hi, I could be in the party, but I'm like, nobody wants me there.
Yeah. No, you just gotta go for it because that's the whole thing in this industry, in any industry. If you're in photography, if you're in film. People have to know you exist to get you to do things. If they don't know you exist, then you're not going to be called upon. You just got to get yourself known. And this doesn't mean you have to gloat or like have a website that's me.com and pointing at you. And you basically just got to be in the community to some degree and people know what you do.
And success can be measured in the number of uncomfortable conversations you're willing to have.
Perfect. I don't have enough of those because I remember each one too well.
Me too.
You need to, if you have clouded, uncomfortable conversations, then you're getting there.
I'm picturing it though. I'm like, hey, boom, I could draw a comic. Like, oh, aren't we special?
Really? Oh, guys, stop the presses! She makes comics!
Yeah.
Like, wow. That was kind of a call for it.
Yeah.
I would love to see Adventure Time drawn by Katie.
Thanks.
That'd be interesting.
Well, right, boom.
Go to write your local senator. Petition. Though, funny side note, if you want a petition or a thing sent to the White House, they upped the numbers because there's too many nerdy geek ones being sent in. The kind of end of it all was when they wanted the U.S. to build a Death Star, and someone responded formally explaining why they shouldn't and how it would cost like trillions of dollars and the deficit would be worse because of a Death Star. He basically broke it down. He was talking about Bothans, and they didn't want to build a space station that could be destroyed by a single window. And it was a really good response, but unfortunately, as good as the response was, a lot more people were like, we need Mordor! Like, they're all coming up with stuff. So the White House had to be like, alright, if we want something read by the White House, it's got to be like 2,500,000 signatures, no longer 15. Because 15 was too low, and people were like,
but then there was a pause, and then communities went, we can do that.
Yeah, it's like, we need a TARDIS, and it's like, oh, forget. So
yeah, because that's the thing. It's like cute when it's done with the star, but then it's like there's so many fandoms that could be.
It's like, we need ponies, and it's like, oh, for God.
I was gonna say ponies.
No, we're not gonna invent ponies. I don't care how many signatures. It's like Equestria. I was like, oh.
You know how there's that thing with I don't think this happens, but this happens. Like people who write letters to Santa and stuff like that, or like letters that get lost in the mail. I'm like, how many dear Princess Celestia? Send the mail my little kids.
It's like that movie Dear God, and there's someone someone's actually writing back as Princess Celestia. It's like, that's my favorite student. And it's like, wow, this is inspiring. And there's going to be like a little Channel 6 news story on the real Princess Celestia who works out like Denver in a post office. And it's like, I just do with the kids.
Celestia doesn't write back.
That bitch. It's just like, she's all Twilight Sparkle wants is her approval. She just will never get it. It's like, you haven't learned friendship yet, Twilight. Learn some friendship. Go to the kegger.
More friendship.
Because that was that first episode. It was like, I gotta study. And she's like, friggin' get that stick out of your ass. You gotta party, girl. Party.
Ponies have some really good lessons for young girls, I think, too.
But I always found it so weird. It's like, dude, you gotta get your studying done. You gotta get in a good school. No time for parties.
The thing is, study is important, but so is friendship.
Yes, friendship is important. And Sailor Moon-esque shenanigans, which was only in the first episode, where it's like, we combine the 5 elements. I'm like, how come they're not like super ponies after this? And it's like, no, they're just regular
What
ponies.
I like about that is it's like there's 6, I think there's 6 characters, and usually in a group show there's 5, because one is the main.
Yeah.
But it's like, you could argue there's a main in ponies, but it's like, I wonder if like the choice of 6 characters is something to like make sure it's not like the one odd character out.
Oh, you can also have the 3 and 3 setup if you want teams. So it's not like 2 are angry and one has to decide and be in the middle. And it's like, which do you... Like, this does happen, but... Which do you think, Twilight?
Oh, well...
Do you like apples?
I bet you do!
It's just like, I see. This is some conflict in the series. But yeah, that was actually kind of unique, having 6 of them off the bat.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that in terms of group dynamic.
Yeah.
Not that it's all the same, because Lord of the Rings is like, what, 14?
Yeah, no, Hobbit.
All the characters.
Hobbit's complicated. I'm like, ugh. I don't know the names yet.
There's 9 in Lord of the Rings, 14 and... Wait, okay. Can I do this?
Okay. Let's try it.
Okay.
You two can play at home.
Okay.
See how many points you get.
Thorin, Balin. Thorin, Balin... Oh, damn it. Keely, Feely, Ori, Nori, Biffer, Bomber...
No, Boffer.
Boffer?
Wasn't there?
Is there a bomber? Boffer.
Wait, there was 3 of them that sound similar. Biffer, Boffer...
Keely.
Bomber?
Boffer. I don't know.
Were you paying attention during that movie?
I was just like...
Yay!
That was me the whole
Hobbits!
Pretty much.
Fair enough.
Did you know? You do, because I told you this before the show started, but instead of building a treehouse for your kids, you could build a hobbit hole.
Bet you could. Just a shovel and some fake grass from the golf course and you're set.
I'm totally making one.
You have a backyard.
It's gonna be, I guess.
You have a front lawn, though. You could make a little hobbit house.
And I'll just sit on the front with my pipe.
Yeah, and wait for, like, visitors to tell them to go away.
Yeah. I'll be like, what's this? No welcome.
Well, that's fun.
That's good stuff.
Speaking of great stuff, I did a marathon of Archer season 3 in one night.
I gotta watch it.
It was just, I was in this like Archer mode because I haven't had enough sarcasm in my life.
Archer because you're really snarky the next day.
I am. I'm brutal with everyone. Like I can't help myself. Everything deserves a response.
But it's not even that. It's like your tone is really harsh, and I'm like, you've been watching Archer.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's too good. I'm pissed that season 4 hasn't started yet, or it just is starting soon. But my God, like, and Archer is he's not a nice character. By all means, he irritates the hell out of me, but I just can't stop watching. Like, he's basically that Vince Vaughn kind of character who's just, like, never admits they're doing something wrong, blames everyone else for what they do, and is such a dickhead, but, like, I just can't stop watching. It's so good. Watch Archer if you haven't yet. It's solid. It's some of the fastest, best callback writing I've heard in such a long while. Like I guess if you haven't seen it, I can't say
I think there was like even like a Bob's Burger joke in one of them or something.
Was there?
Someone made a thing where it was like another, like, he's like flipping burgers or something, and there's a character who's also a voice on Bob's Burgers, and it's like in that episode he has a mustache.
I haven't actually watched Bob's Burgers yet.
He's like the voice of...
Didn't they do like a Totoro thing in Bob's Burgers?
Probably.
Or something? Haven't
I
seen it
heard
yet.
really good things about it. I heard it's really cute.
Oh, apparently it premieres today, says Kel. New season. Alright, good.
4?
Maybe.
Oh my god.
I did all my watching on watchcartoononline.com. Because I couldn't find it anywhere else. It wasn't on Netflix, so I'm like, nope. I'm gonna watch it now. 'Cause I need my fix. So you can check it out there.
Maybe I'll do cleanup while I watch it.
Listen to it.
I was working on a Barbie episodes while I was watching it last time, and I'm just like, meh.
Does that influence your work at all?
I get a little more snarky.
Is Ken more of an asshole?
The good thing about those shows though, they're pretty fun. They're pretty funny. The Dreamhouse ones.
Yeah, Barbie and the Dreamhouse.
Yeah, they're really funny.
I've been meaning to check out Bob's Burgers. I think I saw a bit of the first episode and it didn't really grab me. It was kind of like stuff was just slowly happening, and I guess they hadn't like hit their stride yet. But apparently everyone's like loving it, so I should check it out at some point. There's a bunch of shows. Like even you guys gave us a whole list. We gotta watch like the Adventures of Gumball and the Misadventures of Flapjack, and friggin' Regular Show, and maybe Phineas and Ferb, and like, Foster's Home, and like
I haven't watched Foster's yet.
There's so many shows, and like we saw a bit of what was that series that Heather sort of watched a bit, where it's like Gloomy something, or
Ruby Gloom?
Ruby Gloom, which I thought that was kind of like Foster's, but I guess it's not.
No.
But it's like these oddball kind of, not Tim Burton-esque per se, but like kind of dark,
like the cute,
cute macabre, cute dark kind of stuff going on with like weird characters, and that was always fun and silly and well done.
Yeah.
Nice art style if you haven't watched it at Ruby Gloom. But I always figured Foster's was kind of like that, but I guess it's not. It might be more cartoony, maybe. No.
Yeah.
Don't know. Haven't seen it. But there's just a list that keeps growing of all these animated series I'm supposed to watch. Because also a new episode of Bravest Warriors came out, which is always a treat. Now it's a good time. And once again, this particular episode shows why it's exclusive to the web and probably not on TV, because that would not. It's nothing like wrong. It's just like I could see it not airing on Cartoon Network. It's just like that's slightly above the level of Adventure Time. Mm-hmm. Like, there's this one line where it's just like all the guys, like the girl. Unfortunately, I don't know any of their names, but the female character has like her friend, like, and she's like kind of this pink, like alien-ish type person over, and they're all just trying to impress her. And then the girl character's like, "Let's go hang out in my room before we get pregnant." And I'm like,
damn.
What?
What the heck?
It's just such a weird line. I'm like, whoa. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just like, it just caught me off guard.
It's funny that you call her the female, because there was that episode on the bus where they look at their memories back. It's like, I know you, you're like I forget what it was, you're like the strong guy, and you're the funny guy, and you're like the hero guy, and they go to her, and she's like, the girl. It's just like, yeah, like, I'm just here to be the female. I'm
sorry, but when the cast is 3 guys and 1 girl, it's kind of like, You have to break the guys.
But it sucks because it's like. But I mean, that's
I know.
making fun of them.
Yeah.
It's like you're not like the crafty one. It's like you're the girl.
Well, that's the thing. Like if I were to describe the guys, it's like the strong one, the handsome one, like the hero one, the blonde hero one. It's like and the girl, because that's all I'd have to say to remind you which character I'm talking about. It's unfortunate, but if there was 2 girl characters, like if it was Power Rangers or something, and there's like 5 people, you'd have to then the pink girl and the yellow girl. There you go. Then again, none of the characters in Power Rangers had much personality. Yeah, I said it.
Oh,
they're all just like, we've got to learn friendship and martial arts and friendship after that. And it's like, good.
How is that different from ponies? Just insert.
No, because they all have personalities. Because now, alright, now this way, if I'm talking about ponies, I'm not like, the girl and the other girl. I'm like, well, there's like the feisty kind of rock and roll one, then there's like the farm apple one, and then there's one who's really nice and likes animals, and there's one who's very studious and won't go to keggers, and then there's the one who just, I don't know where she's at. See, and you pretty much know who I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Now, if there's one guy, and I'm like, oh yeah, and that guy, he's the brother. That's all I gotta say. And he goes, yup, a bunch. Yep. You know, or Spike, who's a dragon, and he's like visually different from everyone else.
Describe someone. That's the visually different one.
It sounds so horrible when you put it that way.
It sounds really borderline simple.
Okay. He's a dragon. It's cool. It's cool.
I'm just visually different.
Okay. Yeah, I won't use that phrase ever again. I'm talking about characters. Anyhoozle. What show is this? Are you being smart with me? Are you talking about Bravest Warriors or Ponies? Because Bravest Warriors, if you haven't seen it yet... Yeah, this has been a bit hazy. Bravest Warriors is a series by... not directly by Penn Ward, it's like produced and some concepts, but it's written by... is it written by the regular show? There's some other... I think so. No, not that. Oh, it's some other show, I remember it. Wait, don't. Okay. Either way, it's in the style of Adventure Time, but it's set in kind of like space, and there's adventures and fighting and punching. And it's online exclusively at Cartoon Hangover, which I think is like an offshoot of Frederator. It's like 7-minute episodes. It's pretty brilliant because it's just short and sweet, but it gets to the point. It gets you into the action, into the story. There's funny stuff. It's a little more... I'm not even going to use the word mature, but it's like... I need a new word for that. Like, because mature doesn't mean like anything anymore.
Too mature to handle.
It's kind of more... It's more immature for a mature audience.
Yeah.
Is my phrasing of it, which I need a quicker way to say it. Like, immaturity for a mature audience. Like, that was always going to be my disclaimer for, like, TV shows. As opposed to saying intended for a mature audience. It's like, well, but it's like, it's dumber than anything.
It's like Family Guy or something. It's like, it's silly and ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's not for kids, maybe. But it's...
I wouldn't say Bravest Warriors isn't, though. It's like,
I think it's fine.
It's not for parents.
It's punchy. Not for
Bravest Warriors is not for parents in the room with their kids.
It's like, there are those shows, though, that you're like, this show is perfect for me, but, like, my mom walked in, she'd make me stop watching it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not for you!
Well, like, I watched, like, South Park all the time as a kid, and I wasn't, like, nothing wrong, but it's like... They need a disclaimer that says, the following program is not intended for kids while their parents are in the room.
Yeah.
Viewer discretion, leave. You know, like that kind of thing. Because that was always it. Like, in the case, the story we always tell is whenever we watched Ranma. Ranma 1/2. If you know the series Ranma,
which is a story...
way before this Inuyasha business you kids all got into,
Yeah.
Rumiko Takahashi had the genius series Ranma 1/2, where the premise is a whole bunch of characters have this problem, but a guy... When he gets doused with cold water, he turns into a girl because he got cursed by this, lake. And they're all martial artists and stuff. And people turn to pigs, people turn to cats.
Yeah, it's fun.
But the case being, because he turns into a girl and he's a martial artist, often there's a lot of like toplessness, but not in a sexual way at all. It's just, shit, I'm naked.
It's kind of shenanigans, though.
Yeah, it's more humor shenanigans. And without a doubt, anytime any sort of nudity would ever happen is the moment, mom walks into the room being like, what you guys watching?
Falls into a bath or someone falls on someone or anything embarrassing
and
happens.
it's like, it's always, that's always the case. And this tale has happened to many people. It's like, you can watch an anime that for the whole hour of this special or movie, nothing happens. But when there's that one hot spring moment, that's when the parent opens the door and sees what you're watching.
And then they're like, oh,
and you yourself can handle the content, but they cannot handle the concept of you handling that content,
It's awkward.
Yeah. And I could see myself like being kind of similar because even when if Heather was watching stuff that was like I'm like, she shouldn't be watching this.
She's got this memory though. She told me when she was a kid, she was watching I think Cool World because it was on the thing and she put it on and then you walked in and you took the show out of the thing. You're like, you are never watching this.
I don't remember that.
Maybe you were she was home alone with you and you were supposed to be babysitting her and then you come downstairs and she's watching Cool World and you're like,
it's like, no,
this movie
it's not for you.
I don't know how she got it though. It's on the top shelf, but it's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my kids because anything that was on a top shelf or under something, I went straight for it as soon as
you can't hide anything from your kids.
Anything that was don't read those books. Those are adult books.
It's mature comics.
I'm
pretty sure Mobius had something to do with it. Had something to do with metal. Not for you. And of course, you go
a lot of heavy metal.
We would know where it is and go straight for it because we're not allowed to have it.
But it's not like it totally ruined me. No. It was fascinating.
But this is the nature of kids.
It's also because I was like, they're comics for adults. This isn't something you get you just get bored with. And it's like I can keep drawing comics, but I'm a grown up. This is awesome.
I guess it's aspirational.
But it's like if you walk into the room and I've got a heavy metal, you're like, ah.
But it's that thing where it was said before, I forget which series it was. A character actually said you can't hide anything from kids because they'll automatically find it. They know this house and they know the secrets more than you do because they're they know what they don't. They know what they don't know basically. Kids know spaces they haven't been to because they've covered the whole ground floor. They crawled the damn thing for quite a few years, so they know there's something else elsewhere in the house. So you just can't hide things, So it's it's that weird, I don't know. And I feel like I would be more censorship than our dad was kind of thing. He was pretty
No, he's pretty chill.
Pretty chill, but I feel like I'm more no, not for you kind of thing. You cannot see this.
Is it like we had the cool dad, so you're going to be the not cool dad?
I think that's the Patton Oswalt thing, where it goes like, you'd have the hippie parents, and then the uptight parent, and then as rebelling, you'd have a hippie kid, and then you have an uptight kid as rebelling to that. It's like that weird kind of... I'm not saying anyone's being rebellious or whatever, but that's the extreme example of it's like how on-off it would be. But, yeah, you know. Kel says, then my dad said, I think he's doing it wrong. Wait, what? Walked in. Wait, what? When I first saw... when I first saw the True Blood, my dad walked in during the first sex scene.
Whoops.
And then he said... Alright, sorry if I ruined the joke. Then I think he's doing it wrong, he said.
Aww.
Excellent. Sorry, I read that in the wrong order because text is down there. Yeah, but it's always the way. You cannot avoid it. I'm sorry.
I haven't seen that show yet.
I was actually really like... I'm thinking back, like, when we had games like Mortal Kombat in the house or GoldenEye, I was like, I don't think I'm allowed to play this game. So, like, I distinctly remember, like, my friends would come over quite a bit for, you know, the N64. And this is like, you know, mid-grade school or something like that. It's 4 players all playing, you know, wrestling. But then GoldenEye comes out, I'm like, this game has guns in it. It's violence. And I distinctly remember a moment where we were all in the game room. Like, we had this, like, finished garage. And we're all playing GoldenEye. I'm like, guys, you gotta keep it down. Turn the volume down. No one must know this. And then Mom opens the door to use the laundry, and I got up and stood upright, like blocking the door, like, hi, what's up? How's it going? Laundry? You doing laundry? Okay, cool. Guys, we like laundry, right? Right? Yeah, laundry. Okay, we're doing this. Mario Kart.
Kids think they're a lot more
Mario Kart.
Because I know there's times that I've been like really suspicious looking.
Yeah.
What's up? How's it going?
Well, we're just talking. Huh? You know, things, school, sports. Huh? I don't know why. And comparatively, GoldenEye is nothing compared to the stuff
I remember we had
you could play
a game
these
though
days.
where we named our characters almost like swear words, and then our dad came in to be like, "Oh, are you playing?" We were like,
Okay. I have one.
And he actually wasn't very pleased with
I have one more story, but this is not intended for a young audience, even though it's completely innocent. So I was playing Phantasy Star Online back on.
Oh my god!
Back on the Dreamcast.
I remember this.
And if you remember the game, this was like one of the first console-based MMORPGs. And I've been playing it for a good while, and I'm loving it. And you know, I got my parents to like pay for like or did I use a free month or did I pay for it? You had to go through like AT&T to get the internet and stuff. And we're running, and it's an RPG, so we're running around. And the way the game works was there was chat, but there's also like emoticons, which was like happy face, and it goes yay when you have the happy face over sad face like meh. And then there's like random shapes and like things like hands and stuff or like fists and things like that. And my dad comes in.
Well, the thing is, you can also animate.
Well, no, you can make preset chat bubbles where you have like say like 4 or 5.
Hello.
Like if you customize, like you made one of these or one of these, and you made some customized things. Okay, now things get a little weird here. So you know, your parents may be genuinely interested in what you do for a hobby. So like, oh, this Phantasy Star Online, it's fun. And like all the swearing gets blocked out. You can't swear in this game. There's no way nothing wrong could possibly happen in this game. So my dad sits down and watches this playing, and then it was like, oh, well, this is the lobby, and I'm a robot, and I'm running around, and haha, look at all these people you can join. They're all real people. Look, it's crazy.
I think if you walk by someone's speech bubble, they're iconic.
Oh, no, we'll talk about that. So like speech bubbles show up on your screen and stuff. And then all of a sudden, this speech bubble showed up with like a happy face, and a fist, and something that looks kind of like an erect rod or object. And he starts cycling through the chat, so it goes, hoo, ha, hoo, ha, hoo, kind of thing. And I'm like, oh my god, no. And then I'm like trying to run away from the speech bubble, but it sticks on your screen with the arrow pointing where it's coming from. I'm like, here's the weapon shop. It's like, hoo. Then it gets to, hooray! And the thing happens that happens after that happens. And like I'm like, let's go to the Dragon World. Let's teleport. And that was Phantasy Star Online on the Dreamcast.
Oh my god, that was so funny. I remember being in the room for that, and I think you and I just froze.
No, the game's not like this. It says in the disclaimer, Sega does not control the content of the chat.
It was weird though, because I think it was one of those things where I'm like, oh man, you really didn't see that, or it's just like, you just, alright, I'm gonna pretend I'm not seeing
I'm gonna pretend that didn't happen.
I'm gonna save all our dignity by pretending to look at the spot on the wall.
Oh god. So that's Phantasy Star Online.
Childhood is full of such wonderful, embarrassing moments.
But, yeah. So that happens. You can't control it, but it's all learning. Life and stuff. you know, God. Ha! So anyway, what's up with you?
Oh gosh. I'm just working. Oh, that was good. I forgot about that.
And Joanna's dying of leftover.
It's just.
I just love I couldn't escape it. Like there was no remove chat. This word bubble was chasing me. And he had to, appropriate term
Literally.
there. And the sound effects though were so happy.
The whole smiles.
Oh my god, they're all confirmational sounds. Ah, damn. Suffice to say, I didn't get Phantasy Star Online 2.
No, you didn't. You got another month free.
They canceled it.
Why don't we put you in sports?
Yeah, let's go play T-ball. Oh, was that mine or yours?
That would be yours.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, where do you even go from there? It's about 15 minutes left of this episode. And if you guys want to share anything you got, go nuts. Like, do it.
I love embarrassing stories.
That was growing up with anime, though, because a lot of anime is very loosey-goosey with that stuff. And most of it is just that kind of humor. It's innocent. It's not meant to be anything more than that, but it's like, trying to explain that. Yeah. I think there's like one more thing I wanted to go over. Right now, oh yeah, did you finish World War Z?
I did.
Kind of just tapered out there, didn't it?
How did it end? Oh,
exactly.
It just kind of wrapped up everybody's story.
Sort of. It was just like
he went back and did a final interview.
Yeah.
And then Mark Hamill was just.
He kind of filled up the rest of it, which is nice. But it's just kind of like it just kind of ended. And I'm like, so what happened next? Because I heard somewhere, I don't know if this was abridged or something, but I thought in the book it was suggested that there's still zombies like under the water walking around somewhere.
Oh, because they can do that.
Like off the coast of Cuba or something like that.
They just show up.
And I don't know if that's in the book or something, but I thought like I heard that years ago, and I thought like, oh, that's such an intriguing idea, and that's why I wanted to like, or some suggestion that I thought it was like some country like a part of China, like all the people went missing, but they're actually like in bunkers to this day, kind of thing.
Like a whole country is just
like a country disappeared, and I thought that was a part of the story. I heard that somewhere, but. Unless the book on tape or the audiobook is like abridged.
Oh, well dang.
It sounded like a really interesting piece. Like very, very Fallout, like the vault, like the whole civilization went underground. But yeah, then it was good though. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I found it very, interesting. I just like the different stories from different points of views because it's that way you're able to like, and that's why I'm like, well, what's the movie's gonna be like? What, one point of view? And I
maybe if it just follows him around.
I mean, if he's the journalist, that might be interesting, but
I doubt he is because that'd just be a series of interviews. It'd be neat though if it like jumped into each person's story, but they'd be more like a anthology at that point. You know, kind of like a Halo ODST, which is like an anthology video game, which is kind of interesting. It's like your main character is going around this empty city finding clues of what happened, and then you go a flashback into that scenario, and it like leads up to that kind of moment, which is really neat. Not many games actually are structured that way, so.
It looks like people like our childhood stories.
Yes. But yeah, it's there's a few interesting narratives in some games. I don't know if this game was called like Bell Tower or whatever, but it was like a survival horror, very Japanese style. But you like played as like 6 different characters and revisited many of the same locations, so you had to be aware that if you took all the ammo with your first character, there'd be none left for your other characters.
Oh man.
And it was a really interesting concept. I'm like, that'd be kind of really neat to have like these kind of like games where you do multiple playthroughs, but you have to be aware that like you could potentially screw over yourself if you do it this way. You know, if you blow up that bridge now because you're on the other side, well, someone else won't be able to use that bridge, and that might be you, kind of thing. I don't know. It's just a thought.
Unless they implement that thing, you can just buy another bridge.
It's just a microtransaction to fix the bridge. It's like in the zombie-infested town, one guy's like, "Oh, if you pay me."
I don't want a zombie-infected town, so for some reason money's worth anything.
Oh yeah, well there was that idiot from Resident Evil 4 who's like the retail guy who has all the weapons. And he's like, "What are you buying? What are you selling?" I'm like, dude, this is the most dangerous European village I've ever been to, and you're asking me to buy bullets. I'm like,
I am saving you from later.
I led bad guys to him just to prove my points. I hid behind him as a shield. I'm like, you gotta give me those bullets now.
Amazing. amazing.
I don't think it worked because games aren't that adaptable yet. Where you can, like, have these conditions to be a bigger dick.
Yeah.
I find, like, the dickiness level of games is only if it's written to be. Like, because I think I mentioned it before. If my story of Zelda, of Link, was canon, Link is the biggest asshole to ever visit Hyrule.
Link is more like the Super Mario Super Show Link.
Yeah, he's basically, like, smashing things, trying to say no to missions, because Zelda's like, you want to go help me, like, figure out this case with Ganon? I'm like, no. Aww. And she's like, aw, come on. I'm like, no. Come on. I'm like, I'm in a loop. Shoot. I was hoping, like, just she'd leave me alone and I'd just go off and, like, roll around the field a bit more and gather some coins. But no. Your characters are fairly, like, determined, like, and maybe in certain games have less narrative. You can almost put more character on your thing. Mm-hmm. But even if you're playing, like, Half-Life or Metroid, where your characters are silent protagonists and it's like, oh, it's all me, everyone still, like, loves you unconditionally, where it's like, guys, it's Gordon Freeman. And I'm, like, launching with my gravity gun, like, cans at their head. And like, Gordon, over here! Bonk! Hey, Gordon! Like, no one will ever stop loving me. You know? Though it did actually happen in the first Halo, that if you got a gun and, like, shot your commander, like, the chief's gone mad! Nice. Take him down! And I'm like, this is interesting all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's when you're, like, accountable.
Yeah. More games need that. So I was like, because, like, Ezio, you know, like, I could be...
consequences.
Yeah, he doesn't get any consequences for being a dick or a nice guy. It's just, like, it's all...
I find, regardless, though, I can't be a dick in a video game, even if there's no consequences.
For the most part, yeah. If it's a choice system, I can't do bad choices. Yeah. Unless it was Army of Two, which is completely reasonable to be a dick. Because, like...
Although in Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, we used to toss each other off the cliff all the time.
Yeah, or at dog robots.
You would throw me at the friggin' robot dog. It's like... I'd be stuck in a daze.
It's like a co-op game where you, like, sacrifice your other player just to make it out alive. It's like, only one of us can make it, the strongest survives. Ugh. Well, that being said, if you, like, got killed in that game, you'd return invincible and hanging onto a balloon so you wouldn't have to platform as much. You just float around the screen and waiting for, like, the other character to get somewhere better. And then you're like, I'm back! I skipped all the hard parts. But that's one way to do it. Was there anything else? I think that's about everything I got. We're only like 10 minutes left of the hour. Unless you guys got something, I'm running out of voice and stories. I never could bring myself to harvest a little sister. Oh, TV Dinner's talking about friggin' Bioshock, which I was exactly the same. I didn't harvest one of them. You could basically find the little sisters who are those weird girls who are like, Mr. Bubba's, and be like, your soul! Or you can be like, nah, and then someone gives you a present, being like, you didn't kill her? Here's a gift. I'm like, well, that's a good incentive for not killing the kid.
Good job.
But, you know, because you can play it two ways. Or you can do a bit of harvesting, I guess, and it depends how much you do is how cool they think you're... But I didn't, because I'm like, nah, I got the bees, I'm fine. The bees. I got the DLC for the bees. I was proud to have it. Because I'm like, enter a room and I'm like, the bees! And it just like distract all the bad guys. And I'm like, yeah, that works for me. And I pull out a Tommy gun. So I can't wait for Bioshock Infinite, though, because you get the crows. You send out a murder of crows at people. You're like, the bees! So some guy's giving you sass. You burn them up.
Nice.
Yeah. It's fun stuff. But yeah, like the choices in games tend to be fairly, like, you know, good or evil. Now, some games are a little more ambiguous. I think, like, not Knights of the Old Republic, just the Old Republic. It was one of the new Star Wars games that came out, the MMO one.
I remember, was it Fable that came out that was, like, it gives you the choice, I guess, but you can either be a good guy or a bad guy.
But it's fairly, like, you can't be, like, a bad guy with redemption. It's like everyone just hates you.
You're just evil.
But I think you can still get married. I don't know if she's as evil.
In Red Dead.
Or if she's like a nice like flower girl and you're like this big demonic beast and she's like, oh, you.
In Red Dead Redemption, if you steal something from one town, are you wanted in every town or just...
I think it's only locally, which is cool. I think Fables does that too, where you can be like a huge dick in another place, but then come back and be like, hi, honey, I'm home. And then you like raid another town, you're like, hey, how's that basket weaving going?
Is this?
Fable.
Oh, for some reason I thought you said... I was picturing Harvest Moon. I'm like, when do you raid a town? That's the most gentle
it's
game.
Like, after the Blossom Ceremony, I burned the whole farm to the ground. Came back home and well, that was the thing. When I was playing Harvest Moon 64, I was actually really pissed off because the days were really short in that game.
Yeah.
So, like, you never had enough time to make a successful farm and get drunk at the bar.
Yeah.
So you had to, like, really...
run to the pub.
You had to really pick and choose what you wanted to do. So it's either, like, I can court a girl and make a farm, or make a farm and get drunk with the girl's brother, or I can enter a race, but that means I gotta brush the horse, which takes some time. I could be collecting eggs. And it was a very frustrating game because of that. And this may seem like, I don't know... what's that thing? That word, misogynistic. Okay, but it's like you as a guy in the game, main character, you get choice of like 5 girls to like.
If you play the other version, though, you're the girl who.
Yeah,
the choice
well, they fixed it in that degree, and you're the girl who attracts guys. But the thing was, like, each girl had a different perk. That if you eventually married them, they moved to your farm.
Is that why Potpourri was
and
like?
I thought Potpourri was just the sweetest thing. She's like the little flower girl with the pink hair, and she's so like lovely and nice and stuff. And I eventually like, courted the hell out of her, and then I popped the question on a cliff when she was dangling off it for dear life. I don't know how it got to that.
Give me your hand!
In marriage! And then the firework. I don't know. A lot of stuff happened on that farm. but eventually, so we got married. And I actually had a hot tub, but I never really used it. Neither here nor there. We got married, but the problem was, she was the flower girl versus like the farm girl. She didn't know what the hell she was doing on the farm, because like you'd have a patch, like say how the game works is you get the water bucket and you press it once, you like water one thing. You hold it for a bit, you water 3 things. You got the golden water bucket, you watered all 9 of them. The grid was done, and that was my day, was watering the shit out of stuff. And then she comes over, I'm like, dude, she's a flower girl, she knows what she's doing, she's gonna water the plants, something like that. She waters like in a block of 9, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. I'm like, Potpourri, what the hell are you doing?
So you have to do them all over again anyway.
But then I have to do it all over again. And I'm like, is there a way to like level her up and she becomes the golden wife? Like, what the hell? She doesn't know what she's doing on this farm. She's basically...
Maybe if you spend
she
more
doesn't
time
collect the damn
talking
eggs.
to her than going to the bar.
She doesn't brush the horse. Damn it.
Live.
Harvest Moon 64. Oh my god. I remember one day, I didn't feed the chickens. And usually, if you don't feed them for a day, they get pissed off at you the next day. They're like quiet. They're not as fun. You feed them. I used to take the chickens for a walk. I pick them up and run around the farm. Because it worked for the dogs. I thought the chickens would like it too. Couple laps.
For a walk.
Couple laps around the farm. And so, like, the next day they'd be pissed off at you, understandably. But then it's like, the day after you can, like, feed, or the same day you can feed them and then they're happy again. But, like, one day I screwed up where I was so busy fixing Potpourri's crap that I didn't feed the chickens. And then the next day there was a tornado and I couldn't leave the house.
Oh, no.
I'm like,
remember
oh,
this. You were so
frig,
stressed out.
no. Those chickens are going to be so pissed. If not dead. And I was losing my shit in this house. Like, I'm like waiting in the corner, like hugging my legs, hoping for the storm to end.
House, what do you even do? Just go to bed?
Well, there was the hot tub expansion that I had, so I was just gonna relax.
Those poor chickens.
I think my horse is still outside. I'm looking out the window, being like, "Is he all right out there? There's a tornado." And I'm like, "Yeah, I got a hot tub. Whatevs."
You brought the horse inside the house.
Yeah, I tried it. That was a stressful damn game. Not as stressful though as Animal Crossing. Oh my god.
These are supposed to be like the most.
When I pissed off
games.
Gruff, I couldn't eat dinner that day.
Well, because he moved.
No, Gruff didn't move yet.
But it was the
he was going to, but like I pissed him off because I didn't write back a nice letter to him, and he was giving me sass. I'm like, Gruff, buddy, you're like my original 5. You can't do this to me. He's threatening to leave, and I was just like, in the real life dinner table, just like pushing the peas around the plate, being like, Gruff is so pissed. I don't know if I can make this better.
Mom's like, eat your peas. You're like, first Gruff, now you.
First Potpourri, then Gruff. Can't you do anything right? I bet you didn't pay Nook off yet, did you? How many more bells do you owe? How many? I heard Mr. Rossetti have a talking to with you. Did you not save your game?
Oh god, that guy's scary. That guy is
Oh my god.
scary.
All these games. But to be fair, Katie hates flour, so the game,
It's not quite as
the
fun as I
relaxing
want it to be.
wind-based game of flower petals.
I just find it frustrating.
Oh man, I can tell you all these. I gotta save this for another episode. We had stories in Animal Crossing. there was intrigue, there was mystery, and Nook is doing more than you think he's up to. I didn't find the body. Let's just put it that way. No,
but not for lack of trying.
There's I didn't write my fan fiction, but man, my Animal Crossing story was deep. People moving under mysterious circumstances.
Yeah.
I had this like graveyard of those gyroid guys who like dance around, gyroid whatevers, and then some guy moved in where they were buried.
Yeah.
And all of them moved to the police station. Man, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in that game. Animal Crossing. I had a really good theme song.
Oh yeah, you actually put effort into your... See, because I always thought that was actually the Animal Crossing theme.
And that's...
Because you've got this weird knack for making good little theme songs.
Little jingles?
Well, like, I'm trying to think of Zelda where...
What's the Scarecrow song?
Scarecrow song. You had a good one. Mine was like...
My Scarecrow song was kind of like the Rain song, because in Ocarina of Time, you can make your own song to summon the Scarecrow. It was kind of a side mission thing. It wasn't to the main story, but you got extra stuff. And my song was...
Yeah,
it was a nice little jingle. Katie's song, on the other hand, was... I'm like, huh. Because she added the warble, which you could do if you wanted to. You didn't have to do it each time, but when the song plays officially, it goes...
That damn Scarecrow. Creepy.
The last thing I'll say about Animal Crossing, though, is that fact that you could control the town's theme song was really neat, because also every character you talk to would have their rendition of your song. Like, if it was a mouse, it'd be like... Or if it's like an angry character, it's like... And it's like...
Yeah.
And something that you contributed to the game became canon with the game, and there's something very effective of that, which rarely happens in games, which is just like, pick your armor. It's like, okay. Animal Crossing, you drew your own t-shirts, you made your own theme songs. Like, it was very user experience game, and it's a very unique thing, which I wish more games would implement somehow, as opposed to just like, here's a choice of 5 helmets. And it's like, you make the helmet yourself, you design it, you know. But yeah, definitely, you know, there's new Animal Crossings coming out. I don't know if they're as good as the old ones or whatever, but you know, check it out. Don't piss off your friends. This has been another episode of Shanahanigans Live. We're on the hour. You're going to want to buy yourself a digital copy of Silly Kingdom, of course, for 99 cents. You know, why wouldn't you? It's as much as half the DLC and microtransactions. You're like, all right, let's put it this way. You can either get that sword or a copy of Silly Kingdom. I think the choice is quite clear. You're going to do that.
What's a more ethical choice?
More ethical choice, yeah. Don't support the game industry. Support our industry. The Shanahanigans.
So we can buy video.
So we can buy swords and armor for our characters. Because that microtransactions ain't cheap. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my god.
Definitely that. You're going to want to check out the Facebook, of course. Shanahanigans on Facebook. The YouTube, Shanahanigans.live, has all of the previous episodes if you missed any. A lot of the old live stream episodes, like the audio cuts out after 4 minutes or something, so it's kind of useless, but there you go.
All of it?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
We have some golden episodes.
Yeah, we did. So that's why you want to check the show live, because some of this stuff won't exist anymore.
Aww.
And all the memories. I'll keep you guys posted if Right Night will be starting as a annual and weekly podcast. If not bi-weekly, maybe. We'll see what happens. It comes down to how many people... If people show up. If you're in the Toronto area and you want to come to a Right Night, I guess you can like request it to our Shanahanigans Facebook, and I'll like add you or something like that. If I have no idea how it works. You can probably look up Right Night in groups and see the group. Then you can request being added. I don't know if there's like 1 billion groups with that name. Mine is the one with me in it.
There you go.
It's got a picture of paper and it says Right Night. The one coming up this Wednesday, we're going to be talking about writing villains.
I'm really excited to hear more on this.
Let's see. Hopefully people show up, though, because if they don't, it's just me sitting in a coffee shop alone. Or a bar. I don't know where it's going to be. So if you want to do that, check out on the Facebook page or request it somehow. You guys can figure it out. You have ways to contact with me.
Yes.
Of course, the Twitters are Shaggy Shan and Katie Shy. The Tumblrs are also Shaggy Shan and Katie Shy.
That's right.
You want to subscribe to all those, because the Tumblrs mainly, I tend to do that more than anything these days.
Yeah, you tumble some really good stuff.
I don't really tweet anymore.
I have this weird thing where it's like, there's so many things I want to retumble, but I'm like, well, I still kind of want to make this an art blog, but then it's like I have my blogger blog. But it just gets really weird.
No, my Tumblr is just things I find amusing and interesting.
That's good.
And what you should check out.
I follow so many people that have all that I'm like, my favorites is like that. If you go to my favorites, it's all things I find amusing or inspiring or interesting or ridiculous.
I don't think I've ever actually used the favorites. I tend to just read Tumblr if I like it.
There's going to be one glorious day where I go in there and just... Because I'm saving a lot of stuff for like research, where I'm like, I can reference this for something. At some point, I'm going to archive everything.
There you go. Just in case they go down.
Today is not that day.
Beyond that... anything coming up? If you're in Toronto, Saturday between 2 and 7 at the Comic Lounge, of course. There is Quinn's fundraiser. There's going to be art there. Brian Avenue is going to be there.
Yay!
A whole bunch of other people. You're going to want to get some of that stuff. Help support their show. And beyond that, Lemony Snicket's coming to Toronto or something, I think.
On Valentine's Day.
On Valentine's Day, no less.
Yeah, Lemony Snicket, writer of a series of unfortunate events, and Canadian cartoonist Seth. I guess they're working on a project together. So it's a ticketed event. It's free, but it's limited seats. So what you want to do is, I think if you go to the Beguilan's website, they'll have a link to it. It's at the Toronto Reference Library. Okay. So yeah, I will be there. I am very excited to see it.
I'm contemplating going there. Beyond that, watch some good stuff. Check out Archer Season 4 starting tonight, apparently.
Yeah, I might actually watch that while I do cleanups.
Watch Bravest Warriors. It's on YouTube. It's absolutely free. It's meant to be that way. You're going to want to check that out. And also, if you want the comics, they are available through Boom. Right? Boom?
I think.
Boom. They have Bravest Warriors comics. They have Adventure Time. And they have a new Fiona and Cake series. Yay! Also, they just started releasing. I got the first one for a friend. And you want to check that out.
So cute.
I'm good. Are you good?
I'm good.
Are you guys good? Probably.
Good.
There's a delay, so even if you say you're good, it's too late.
Far too late.
We'll see you next Thursday, 8 o'clock
guys.
on the nose.
Ciao, ciao.
Yeah.